Aloha, everyone, and welcome back to another Guardian training workshop. My name is Alexis. This is the Ascension Diaries, and we meet every month on the 18th to do a workshop. Now, every month is usually themed, and if you're in my Patreon, then you would have known the theme every month, and I advertise it on my social medias as well. But this month of July, the last years of Guardian training, has always been an anomaly. And I have not been able to nail a theme down for July the last few years. And there is a reason. And I believe it has to do with July's importance with the timeline and with the subtleties that are happening all at once kind of during this month. So, many of you may be familiar that there was a major world history moment on the 14th of July this month, which involved an attempted, I don't know what you would call it, that wouldn't trigger the watch, but an attempted incident, I should say, that was unexpected. And I'm glad I didn't have a theme for the month because it just didn't feel right. It didn't feel right. And I was heavily meditating this month, reading channel texts from the apostles and Mary Magdalene. A lot of that. And I'm going to bring that into today's workshop. So, what has persisted, I would say, through this month, theme wise, but despite all of the chaos, is the term alchemy or the process of alchemy. And this is not something I am super familiar with. This is not something I was raised with. This is not something I have deep esoteric secrets to tell you about, nor have I ever really used it in any sort of real palpable way that is some sort of magician or wizard would maybe flex on you about. But I do have some information about that and who you can talk to, I would say, whose essence you can engage with that may give you, I would say, a benevolent look at alchemy versus, I would say, the opposite direction, which is not exactly helpful for the collective. So, that being said, I hope that you can hear me and that these people that's saying are here are really here so I can continue with today's workshop. This is just the warm up to get things started. Okay, thank you for your feedback. I appreciate that. Just making sure the tech is working. Again, with these workshops, it's very hard to bring it all in, I would say, and give you something that you could sit down and, I don't know, first or university class and hear a professor teach you about, which is kind of the direction, or I would say almost the authority that I come to you with these workshops with, is like you're in a first year university class about this particular subject. So it's an introduction, and as well as encouraging you to basically kickstart your career in this particular theme, because I believe everything that I bring everything and theme I bring to you is of service to being a healthy and capable guardian. Now, not all of you are parents, but a lot of you have grown into guardians. And I am a guardian of 6 animal children that I have rescued. And I experienced and experience many other opportunities, I would say, to be a guardian or to be an elder. And this to me is a very natural experience, but I've noticed that there has been an issue with people taking on, and I want to say owning that title of themselves. And it isn't a fanciful thing. This is almost like a black and white or a very logical experience. So I'm going to help define that for you really quick. In my opinion, becoming an adult is the same as becoming a guardian if you're doing it right. You're considered an adult, in my opinion, when you're capable of taking care of yourself, as well as beings that are younger and less experienced than you are. In that sense, sometimes you become a parent or a guardian of younger or more naive or less capable beings. You are clearly the strongest and most capable in the room. Now, growing into adulthood in the Western society has been struggling very, very hard the last few 100 years, even. And to become an elder, it doesn't even seem to be even spoken about. Like, when is the proper time? What is the proper title? I don't have any sort of thing that I can reference or you go see the authority of someone else's opinion over mine. I just have to give you the information that I have. And to be an elder is a logical, normal thing. As soon as you are old enough, like I said, to take care of yourself, you automatically become a guardian in a way and can become a guardian. And that is an honor and it is a part of growing up. It's a part of becoming an adult. There's a lot of people who have been held away from any sort of experience of, I want to say, taking care of themselves, but they are fully capable, but are not taking that responsibility onto the self or don't seem to have that drive to branch off as their own and begin their own family, begin their own tribe as they gain this ability to take care of themselves and others. And I'm seeing a major issue with that again as this last catalyst has been delivered to society. I'm watching a lot of people who are very old, who have families, grandchildren, who are still looking outside of themselves for someone to lead and guide and save them. Now, I have heard personally, on a little bit more of a conspiratorial level perhaps, that the genetic mutations that have occurred and the genetic programming and tinkering that has happened, some of it may have occurred to encourage the genes of worship or seeking out a queen or obeying a queen or a king like other animals have in their system. There are other animals that exist with this particular structure, but we are not of those animal. But their DNA has been mixed in with us, I believe, in order to create more subservient and confused people instead of divine sovereign beings, which is my parent company and what you have to type in to send me any sort of donation. You're sending it to divine sovereign beings. And all of those donations and the PayPal support all goes back into sitting my butt here and delivering with the most, I want to say, respectable and elderly like energy that I can muster for people who are my age and older to go, oh, yes, that is true. If she believes she's an elder, then I am certainly an elder and a guardian because I am certainly older than her and have lived and maybe even provided for many more beings than she has. But if you are not taking that title of elder and guardian, then you are cheating yourself and the children out of security, in my opinion, and of the alchemy that is necessary for auric and your auric field to be whole and unwavering, I would say. There's a lot of messages that want to come through for this workshop, and I promise you everything I'm going to be sharing is intended to strengthen you. It's intended to build your confidence. It's intended to finally cut the cords and release all that no longer serves you and to replenish you with statements and phrases and ideas that empower you and resonate with you. I collect all of these statements and these words through the month so I can sit in front of you and give you the very best that I've distilled out of the lessons I've been learning. Of course, when it comes to spirituality, there is an awareness as well that while you're a guardian now, there are also beings that are older than you, have already taken on that role of guardian, and you can turn to and will genuinely support you as you grow as well. And I want to thank all of you who are in that position in their lives and have taken that position and offered their support to the youth and their families. Thank you for being what you were meant to be, I would say. Thank you for choosing what feels right versus maybe what you think or you're told to do culturally, even. There's a whole generation of people, for example, that have been brainwashed into thinking that saving and only spending on themselves and saving every little penny was the way to survive in the economy and the way to survive, and that it was pretty much everyone for themselves, including their own children and their children's children. Obviously, that was a lie, and it stopped the flow of so much progress and so much love and mutual respect and tribe from our society. It is baffling. It's staggering. If you really do think about it, sometimes you're like, wow. And there are many moments like that where whole generations and societies have been convinced to do something that was not in their best interest. It's happened before by these leaders or these people who take the power that is so freely handed to them. And if no one's handing them any power, they create some sort of thing to be afraid of that they can vanquish so they look stronger than you. You could conjure up a monster and defeat it in front of them, and they may think you're stronger than them. That's the way they think. But indeed, that is not the case. All of these smoke and mirrors and illusions, these displays of power, these displays of favor when it comes to creation itself. Are you favored in creation over others? Usually no. But people try and make that appear the case. People make a huge case for themselves in that often, that they are in more alignment with creator. They have more ability to predict, see, and experience reality than you do. And again, that mentality, it's isolating. It shows that that person has no idea what a community can do for them. No idea, it seems like, what a community can do for them. And that's that. So there's beings who are literally, and they're getting sick now. I'm seeing it big time. Their bodies are eating themselves and rotting and dying. And I'm not happy to see it, but I am seeing it. And I know why they're dying, in my opinion. And it is because they have blocked the flow of chi from themselves to even their own genetic lineage, to the true wealth that is what they've achieved, which is their families. They don't even believe that their families and their grandchildren have anything to do with them or their wealth. This is happening all over the world. I don't know if you've noticed it, but with this shift, this month especially, it's becoming obvious, and it's also putting like triple 10 times down the pressure on beings who are choosing to be hateful and isolated, on beings who choose to open their hearts to community and share. It's a polarizing moment. We had a polarizing moment. You either felt hatred towards somebody when they were nearly killed, or you felt sympathy and empathy towards someone as they were nearly killed. That was the deciding factor. That's what we would have considered a spiritual harvest, is a harvest of the hearts. And if you guys have ever studied Egyptian lore at all, perhaps you have seen where they weigh your heart after you die against the weight of a feather. Now, this may all be symbolic, and it's not exactly what happens in the afterlife, but it is a visual to help how you lead this life, is that the heaviness in your heart will not will not qualify you to enjoy yourself. You know what I mean? It's like equivalent to death in a way. To have the heaviness, to not have a feather light heart is the equivalence to like a death with no a death, basically, in my opinion. And there are these resources that are being held in a certain currency in certain establishments, and all of that stuff and all of those numbers and all of those establishments are going through the same experience that the humans that are relying on that system or trust that system over anybody. They are rotting, depleting, and they're dying off, these institutions. It's all over the news. There's another bank transfer system in Britain that's not working today. Every single day, there is a shift. Now, there is a direction that this is all going. And to me, right now, that's not the concern. Personally, that's not what I'm here to teach you. What I'm here to talk to you about is the alchemy of this situation, and as well as the lead weight or the leaden beings that are attached to you ancestrally, who are still holding out on you and not giving their love, their support, their energy to help grow their own family members into happy, healthy, successful people and to continue progenerating their DNA. So it's literally something has managed to come in and change the mindset enough for people that they go against their own genetic desires to fully value their children and their children's children over any other wealth in the world. And that to me was just so mind-blowing. Even as a child, just like shocking. I could not believe the way that parents were treating their children, how my own grandparents, like, oh, it was awful. It was just heartbreaking. And you're like, what is that? What good is that? You have all this stuff, but you're not sharing it with anyone. You're just going to let it sit there and die. And then these people who hold all this wealth, they starve themselves and they become brittle and weak and they break down. And the festering chaos of the tissue that's dying within them, even in their colon, stuff that they just can't get out because they're eating poorly, because they're not paying enough for their foods. They're buying the cheapest thing they can to sustain their most precious investment. They are spending the least amount of money and eating the most poisonous stuff, basically, in order to value saving this artificial currency over their own, life force. This is the disease, I would say, that we're now pulling out from the root. And in this workshop, the alchemy of that will be done through a visualization exercise that we're going to go through very soon here. We're going to alchemize, at least mentally and in the astral plane, together in this workshop. We're going to alchemize some of this leaden or this dark, pretty much inert rot. And we're going to alchemize it into liquid gold, liquid light gold. And I'm going to show you how to do this my way. You can carry it on and continue this exercise forever. And as a guardian, I would encourage you to do so and pass on this knowledge if you can. Final note on the guardianship before we do the alchemy. And I don't know if I heard anyone bring this up yet. So I say this with a full heart and deep respect to you. I'm wondering if you guardians noticed, or at least considered, how you were reacting to these world events in front of the children. I didn't have that experience here at my household, so I can't give you a personal anecdote, I will be hanging out with some children and tapping into their energy in the next few weeks, which will be a nice, it'll be a nice data point for me. It'll be like basically just sensing the temperature, like basically the auras, and being like, okay, how are you doing? I'm going to see if they need anything, basically, and I will speak to you about it, and then we will mentally and through our praises and our intentions maybe make a few more adjustments. So by the next month I will have that information. So join our workshop next month on the 18th, and we will focus a little bit more on the children, I want to say, on because they're watching us. That's all they have. We are what they are going to base their entire life off of. The first 10 years of someone's life is basically recording every single thing they're going to do with themselves the next 100 years based off of what all the people around them did. They absorb everything. And I love watching parents be like, where did you hear that? Where did you learn that? And I'm like, they've got nothing else to do. They are absorbing everything. They're absorbing conversations you aren't seeing. And just in the grocery store, at a restaurant, or passing by a billboard, gas station, they see and hear a lot more than we realize. Everything. They are, in a way, the pureness that is policing us in a way, in an interesting way, in a good way. It is this is the information, the feedback we get from them is the information we really should be acting upon. And whenever a child squeaks through my network, because a lot of you have kids, and one of them says something while I'm in a reading, or one of you mentions something your child says, and every single time they say something, it's impactful to me. I'm like, okay, I got a message from a child that is sacred ground to me. That is like, I'm emotional about it. It's so pure, but it's what I got was, why are you forgetting about them in this most important time? And please be sure to behave how you as a child would need someone to react, and how they would react and behave for you as a child to feel like your guardian has got your back, and that they are teaching you something valuable to survive a situation like this in the future. Without your adrenals completely cooking out and you fainting or losing your ability to take care of yourself. So if you were able to take care of yourself through this, and also share your opinions and your reactions in an arena where a child was watching, I really hope that you kept that in mind. And if you didn't, there's still time to do, what's the word? You're allowed to do a little more cleanup on that. I don't know what the word is. You're allowed to follow up on that, because again, they're still absorbing. They're going to be absorbing and absorbing. And we were there absorbing 9/11. They're here absorbing this. There's always going to be kids absorbing the travesties. There's always going to be children. I mean, thank God. Thank God there's always going to be children around, and puppies, which I'm going to talk about. My little guardian puppy here. We're going to talk about her in a second. But she's just here. She's looking over me right now in a way. And that's true with you at your homes as well. So if we could talk about that we'll talk about that one. I'm trying to organize. It's like, ooh, new idea. I'm like, okay, sort that, put that in this category. So what you did in front of your children, just know they saw you. They saw everything. And everything that you maybe weren't expressing honestly is also a problem. Because again, like I mentioned, let's not be like the people, our grandparents and our parents, who decided that saving money for their retirement, which is almost, it drives me crazy, because it's like people who save for their retirement are basically saying they have no plan to maintain a relationship with their children or their children's children as well. It just, to me, it looks like, oh, well, we're just going to leave you completely. We're going to take all of our money and we're going to leave you completely and die alone elsewhere. And then maybe after we die, a lawyer will approach you and tell you you can have this amount of whatever estate that is your bloodline resources, but under these particular conditions and blah, 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 blah. And police and law and all this that is not your family, doesn't care about you, is now in charge of managing the assets of your own ancestral wealth. It's insane. Okay. It's crazy. And I don't believe there's anything I'm going to be able to say to these people to wake them up out of it. I don't believe that. I'm not here to try and convince anybody. I'm just trying to say, for the children's sake, we are watching our parents, grandparents, and great grandparents choose themselves and like the most extreme form of narcissistic, selfishness that you can basically get and abandoning their families with no guardianship, no elderness, no resources, no skills to gain those resources, no community connections, pretty much leaving you with nothing, except for maybe their debts. Maybe that is also one there. Or they're broken down estates or houses or vehicles. They're broken down, they're discarded, they're trash. They're trash. And of course, now I know on the opposite side of things, there are people who came from families that their grandparents and their parents were always somebody that was providing for them and guarding them and leading them. And I want you to know that I really hope that you're passing on that information to your children, whatever it is, your nieces, your nephews. I want you to go into education and go into elementary education or coaching sports, the sports and keep progenerating that information, that aura, that confidence, because a child only needs to see it once. A child only needs to see anything once. You, as an adult, it's not quite the same up there. But as a child, you only need to see it once, which is also why I do these videos. Because, hello, children, if you're seeing me, I care about you and I want to give you what I have used to become stronger and more secure. So I may feel also confident being a guardian and an elder. So you may, if there's ever a problem, I'd be able to look after you. That's the position I've put myself in. And that was my goal, is if your parent or guardian was like, I need you to help this youth of mine, I'd be like, yes, okay, I have that strength. I have that capacity. And that's why I do these, because I feel that about myself and I feel like I could take that on. So therefore, I'm doing my best in the meantime to give you what I have without the need for you to live with me and watch me noodle all day long. You can gain the very best parts of what I've captured without all the nonsense, which I also talk about. The best parts of my nonsense, also very valuable. And the nonsense that I'm seeing in society is this lack of guardianship and this lack of accountability. And it's basically worth studying damage to the frontal lobe in general. It's not everybody's fault the way they're acting. Children, adults, everybody listening, it's not always that person's. It's not like an idea that is festered in them that they were going to do this particular act to you. A lot of what is actually the problem is nutritional deficiency. And when the body is nutritionally deficient, the body will act like an animal and it will lash away anything that could possibly be taking another ounce of your energy away, as you're barely getting a charge yourself. Now, the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, and the mitochondrial DNA comes from your mom. So your strength and your power and how you charge up your body nutritionally may come from your mother's genetics more than your father's, just a little bit. So if you've been having an issue with your nutrition and not sure which direction to go, I'm being guided to tell you that this may be a direction you want to look into. Look into what energized your mother when she ate it. Try that. Look into what calmed your mother when she ate it. Definitely have some of that. If your mother's diet was terrible and she's been struggling with it her entire life, then it is your duty as well to figure that out, because she did not give you those tools, but that body is still yours to handle. You're still walking around in your mother's body, at least a piece of it that she made for you. Consider her and her nutritional deficiencies as well. What is it that she wasn't getting? And I want to say also the poisons that are added to our environment on purpose with an agenda to try and reduce the amount of people. There's a lot of that going on. And generationally, there's a lot of poisons that are installed, all different kinds. So each generation has a little bit of a different poisoning than the one ahead of it. Ironically, I'm getting the message that they say that intelligence is not the most important thing. And there's beings that have taken intelligence to such an extreme degree that they basically ate themselves. Like they couldn't go on. There was a dead end there. And they had to turn around and learn their heart. They had to learn their heart, and they had to learn the intelligence of their emotions. I've had to do that as well, because we were not raised in a society that was like, what is the here goes my stomach. What is the intelligence of your emotions today? Feel into them. What are they telling you? I don't think I heard that once until I was well into my 20s. And would have been helpful as a child to identify and understand my emotions and use them as my deciders. Does this feel good or bad? Doesn't feel good? I'm not going to push myself to do it. Back in the day, it was like it didn't matter what you felt because you had to do something, and it was all mental. You have to do this because this thing, you have to do this because this has to happen next, and all of this mental planning and control and projection. I mean, that's what encouraged people to stuff away all their funds and eat junk and kill themselves and not share any of their wealth with their family, not even update their homes, not even clean their homes, just basically die, like slowly rot and die as all of their money is put away somewhere else, where they could literally never walk into that building and say, give it to me now. They won't be able to do that. They just won't, because it's not there. You've been feeding it into a hole and killing yourself in the process. And I'm sorry that I have to be the one to say that and maybe point that out, but it's going to be the biggest theme these next 4 years is what I'm hearing. Is the realization that giving your power away to some other thing to take care of you was a trap. But good news, because while that is happening, there's also people like you and me who are becoming aware of this reality and are choosing a different way to manage our resources and our time and the people in our lives. A lot of us are coming at it new. We're having to basically go on our gut and our instincts and our hearts, and we make mistakes. We have judgments and beliefs that are still in us from the people we were around as children. When they were uncomfortable, it was not safe for you as a child. When an adult is not happy, it's not a safe place for a child. A child does not feel safe in the presence of an unhappy adult. They are natural. Like there's so many species out there that kill the young of their own species all the time in fits of rage, just because of honestly, a lot of it's like jealousy and it's nonsense. And there are stable adults. And if you can be that stable adult in the reality, They only need to see you once to know that you exist and that they can choose that as well. And they can then continue to look for people who remind them of that first being that showed them that there are guardians and there are elders out there. And then as long as you can see it once, you can see it again in other people. Who was it for you in your life that showed you that you could be a generous, thoughtful guardian and elder? I'm curious. I'm genuinely curious. Who was that for you? You may not even know their name, but you remember them. Hi, everybody coming in too. I can see you. The cycle breakers. Excellent. Excellent. I'm just going to read the comments now. I'm going to tap in with everybody who's here live for the Guardian training. Those of you who are subscribed to my Patreon were invited to this and got the link to this ahead of time. And I just want you to know how much you help me with your joining of my Patreon. I'm going to cry again, but it's like, I can't even describe it to you without getting like completely weepy, but I just want you to know that's how I feel. So if that translates, I will go back into the comments and distract myself from like bawling my eyes out. But like, I just want you to know I love you and I care about you. And I feel your love and care back. I'm just going to cry about it. Oh, whatever. The children can see. It's just like to know that there are beings out there who were able to pull through all of these lies and this selfish, narcissistic sort of society and culture that was perpetuated through media at us. The people who made it through and chose not to be that way, they are the gold in this alchemy of this earth. They were the ones that were able to turn into gold themselves and be this, I want to say, eternal light. And I'm grateful that I've met so many of these eternal lights, these cycle breakers, these people who are brave and know that taking on the responsibility now is better than being forced to take on the garbage that your ancestors maybe have left for you. You know what I mean? So here in the comments, we see a few beings, few guardians indeed. Hi, Trevor. Artifacts is here. Sorry. Greetings of the day, Alexis and Hale Guardians. I've been watching these on my own time, but excited to be here for this one. And it's a near and dear topic of interest. I hope to honor you in this topic as I continue with the workshop. Happy to see you, Kavana. Hello. I want to say New Mexico Goddess, but I don't know what the NM stands for. Nice to see you. Nice to see you, Marcus. Shout out to one of the OG Guardians that I've worked with. Nice to see you still after all these years. I agree, Alexis. It's rare to meet someone these days who doesn't look to someone else to save them. It astounds me. To me, these recent events are another choice point, just as 2020 was a choice point. It will unfold clearly. What will each sovereign being do? Agreed. Oh, Alexia's here. Nice to see you. I didn't even notice yet. Sorry. I'm now seeing everybody's here. All I've been thinking of has been that poor kid behind Trump probably has PTSD. Yes, in the audience. And the man who died was also basically shielding his wife and daughter as well. So she was older, though. I think she's my age, actually. She may be 30, 31 years old. But still, I experienced PTSD from that experience. And I noticed the effects of what PTSD trauma does to your autonomic and parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. What am I trying to say? But yeah, my parasympathetic nervous system and my sympathetic nervous system were doing things that I hadn't quite seen it do before. And it was amazing to watch because it was a moment like I got to observe the lapses that'll happen even in just your brain function when you're experiencing, you were in that window of a traumatic event where kind of like your worldview is shattered and your immediate safety is threatened. I was stumbling over words without even the knowing that I was going to stumble over the word, which for me is weird because I know when a stumble's coming because I'm already not sure what the word is, but I know what the word is that I'm trying to say, and it was not working. And same with my brain. It was like I would walk again. It was like all of my issues were extreme at that moment too. Like if I was having any sort of issues where I'd walk into a room and forget, happens once in a while, not very often, but I was doing that all day, every day. I was walking and losing myself. And then again, keeping track of time was extremely hard. And there was a lot of space weather that was happening during this. And I was having a hard time even reporting it accurately without even me knowing I was making a mistake, which is something I had not seen. I was watching myself make mistakes, but I didn't know I had made those mistakes. I had to look back and see, and then was like, what? How did I do that? So I didn't get fully into the study of PTSD, but if you grew up in a household where you never felt safe and you never actually felt like you could trust your caregivers, you kind of have that already a little bit. And that's another issue that we're having societally is that, you know, spanking was a very common practice. And again, I've already done this kind of work on the workshops. The sexual energies workshop, I think, is my February workshop. I do it every year though. I'm just going to keep repeating these themes every year and go deeper and deeper until I don't know, till I do something else. But the effect that it has on your brain and that frontal lobe we were talking about, when you get hit by your guardians as a baby, you basically lose your ability to begin developing your frontal lobe, is what I've learned. And that if that continues, you're going to create a monster, basically. You're going to create a monster with no ability to feel joy or pleasure from loving or cooperating with other people. As a survival thing. You're taught as a baby not to trust the two people or whatever that were assigned by God, who made you, assigned by God to protect you, and they turned on you, and you have no alliances at that time. They are your whole world, and your whole world turned on you and punished you, and you have literally almost no idea what's going on. Almost no idea what's going on or how, or could even possibly relate to an emotion an adult is experiencing. Not even close. There is no comparison in my opinion from an adult emotion to a child's emotion. They're totally different. A child experiences emotions from different motivators. It comes from a different root than what adult emotions can come from. They will not understand your emotion. They will see you as a threat, and they will turn into a husk of themselves and get away from you as soon as they're able to, because that's what survival is. That's the direction. That's how we've developed to survive. So there's a lot of people who have very mild levels of PTSD from this particular upbringing style to more extreme levels of that, of course. And like I said, if I could roll out a screen and put it in front of everyone's head and be like an MRI and just be like, okay, let's have a person walk up to them and introduce themselves and see if that frontal lobe fires at all. And if it doesn't, okay, this person is in deep need of rehabilitation, and they're going to need a lot of things that help regrow nerves and a lot of help. And that's okay, because as a guardian and an elder, that should be a matter-of-fact decision. It should not have any sort of motive. It should just be, this person is sick. They have they have experienced a trauma and therefore have experienced a developmental issue. We are going to do our very best to try and replenish that tissue and its function so this person may continue to their fullest capacity participating in the tribe and not perpetuating any of this sickness or this disease outward anymore. Hi, Crystal Golden. Nice to see you. Hello, Electric Archaic. Thank you for the feedback. We were wearing the same hairstyle? Yes, fantastico. I'm wearing my hair like this because I had some dreams last night that I'm going to have to talk to you about. That's also why Homie is here behind me. But the dreams I had are going to be, I would say, the finale of this particular workshop because, again, there's not a lot I can do about dreams, but I'm going to tell you anyways. Okay, but I needed to save all the sweat and information and put it up on my head, even though I was clean. I sweat through all my clothes last night, and the Schumann was blasting. So if you didn't know that yet, it was last night for hours, and I was tossing and turning and violently and just going through this chaotic kind of, energy, and was just fighting myself like, please just let me sleep. I need to rest. I need this rest. And then I was being pulled out of sleep and back in, which makes you go into dreams a lot too. So I was being pulled out of my dream and back into another one, out of my dream, back into another one. And I paced around the house, but I just didn't know what else to do with myself. All I wanted to do was sleep. It wasn't like, get up and get on your Telegram and chit chat with the homies who are probably also up. It was like, try to sleep, get back in there, get in there. And it was almost like I was being kicked out. But I was forcing myself into the astral. It was just like, oh, I had to get in there, continue the mission. So I have all the information up here. I'm storing it for later. Queen Victor is here. Claudette is here. Nice to see you. 40% inheritance tax. Amazing. Isn't that amazing? They just insult to injury big time, which is what we witnessed on the 14th as well. The reactions that came out of people. We were just like, well, thank goodness that you showed me that part of you. You showed me that that's living within you, that you think on any level that that behavior is okay, is a sign that I do not want you around the children. And as an elder and a guardian, I cannot permit that. You must be going to some therapy. You're going to be needing some therapy. You're going to be needing a nutritional diagnostic. I want to get a nutritional diagnostic. I want your toxicity, all of your toxin diagnostic. I'm going to get you an MRI. I want to see it all because a lot of it is probably healable. A lot of it probably is nutritional deficiency, which is crazy to think about, but it's right there. So even when you're starting to feel and you're like, the energies, the demons, like whatever it is, you're starting to feel angry and you're starting to lash out and you're nutritional deficiency, in my opinion. Number one, take your vitamins immediately and have a nap or put yourself away and let those things like soak in. I mean, you'll feel better. I promise. I promise. I promise you. I promise you. And I know that's a stupid promise. Kids, don't promise people stuff unless you can make a joke or whatever. But like for real, I feel like I can promise you that if you and go buy the things that you're guided to do and don't skimp on it. Don't be like, oh, this will probably be good enough. You're the number one thing to invest in. You and your cells. Your cells will know that you didn't do the best that they could get. They'll know. Your own body will know that you didn't show up for it. You can't hide that from your body, from your soul, from your cells. The innocence of your cells, they know you made that decision. Yet they still work every day to use what you gave them to keep you alive. Isn't that amazing? All right. Cheers to an estate taxes. Very nice. Yep. Oh, that word and that whole thing. Again, major revelations in the next few years about that. So keep that on your praises and prayers. Be like, thank you, God, for removing this evil from society and allowing our resources and our wealth to be shared without parasites, without middlemen, with just honest, heartfelt, genuine generosity. That's the invocation. That's the alchemy right there. It was like, this is a situation and I want it to look like this. So God, thank you for doing this. God, thank you for doing this. You don't even need to talk about this. Thank you for doing this. The lead, it's there. The light, the gold, it's for us to create out of the lead through our invocation, to our permission. We give permission with our spirit and our words. I give permission and thank you, God, for removing all the parasitic taxes, all the parasitic ideas and people who are self centered and sick from any positions where they can take from those without giving anything in return. May we take the parasites and we give them to you, God, for healing and recalibration. Someone I know used to call everything prima matra, or like the primal matter or the prime matter, which is kind of like the photons or whatever, like the photons and the building blocks. Nothing can be evil until it has on that basic level. It's like, it's just the prima matra. And I like that. Once in a while, I think about that word, if that helps. But don't use my words like exactly, but the words I use, I'm trying to show you, are you giving thanks and thanking God for doing something as if it's already been done. It's like that position of manifestation. You're thankful that it has been done, and you're genuinely thankful. Like you come from a place of genuine gratitude. Like, thank you for doing this. And you may not believe yourself, and that's the problem we're facing a lot of time, is people will say something, but they don't really believe it. But if you really believe it, and you believe that in that mechanics, because in my opinion, it's just truth, and truth doesn't need defending at all. I don't need to defend it to you. I'm telling you what I've learned and what works, is being like, thank you, God, for doing this, and that whatever it is, whatever solution it is. Okay, cycle breakers. It's also insane, I believe, to automatically put elderly in a home. My mom was never there for me growing up, and I am here putting up with daily abuse so she doesn't have to go. Yes, this is another thing that I was reading about and was kind of preparing for this particular month, was this scenario. So thank you, Claudette. It is fascinating, is it not? I've heard one thing is our guru is the beings in our lives that trigger us. And God will deliver you those gurus. And that will be your spiritual mastery in this life, will be the beings that you just can't seem to quite get along with, but they're in your family and you're in your vicinity all the time. It's like, okay, that is your guru. They're here to teach you something. And I know, obviously, you probably already know what it is. I'm just using you as an example to kind of expand on that. But there will be services and there will be medicine. And there already is, that may alleviate your pain, their pain. Like I said, a lot of their pain is probably a nutritional deficiency. And that's why they're lashing out like an animal that doesn't care about anyone else. Because in their mind and their cells are screaming, going, I'm about to die. I'm starving. I'm missing my vital ingredients. No more for anything else. I've got no energy for anything else. Just get what you need and replenish me. And some people don't know how to even respond to that signal. They just get stuck at the lashing out part. And then they eventually pass away because their systems shut down from a missing ingredient that they needed. What kind of missing ingredients are you looking for? There's so many. I mean, the motherfucker gene, excuse my language, but that's what it's called literally in the medicine. And it is a gene that's about methylating a certain amount of your food. I'm not a nutritionist, so these words are harder for me. But there are genetic things going on as well, where people are noticing that they're having a hard time even taking in the food and taking out the ingredients they need. And a lot of those people tend to end up in the category of on the spectrum with ADHD or even autistic, more severe autistic disability. I mean, the whole spectrum, but especially in the more severe side, there seems to be an issue with their ability to digest and absorb the nutrition they need to have all of their cells happy and for them to become an adult and a guardian themselves. They take care of themselves and then begin taking care of the children that are coming along, follow us, and to continue taking care of this earth, taking care of everybody on it. These little puppies need us as well. So if you're having an issue and you're noticing and there's something up and you're like, I probably have a nutritional deficiency, and you've been taking every single one of your vitamins every single day, like, or whatever it is that they recommend you do. And I take less of the doses because I have a deep feeling that these companies are encouraging you to take this maximum amount of their product that they know won't poison you in one sitting. So you will move through the product faster, buy more quicker. So if it says you need 6 of these, you can just take one. In my opinion, it's going to be plenty. In my opinion, again, I'm not a nutritionist, but you can, if it resonates, take it. If it doesn't, research it. Think about it more. See what other people might tell you randomly in the universe. There might be a random person walk up to you and be like, hey, you only need to take one of those. And they'll walk away and you'll be like, oh, Alexa said that last week. Oh my gosh, interesting. That happens to me all the time. So whatever you need to know will repeat itself till you're like, okay, okay, I get it. So yeah, go out, get the nutrition you need. Supplements are fine. Just get the good stuff, organic, non-GMO. Do a little bit of research. Doesn't take long. And the better deals are usually on Amazon versus buying it off of at a store or off of like a TikTok shop or something. Wouldn't recommend you buy anything off of that shop if you've been able to resist. That's just a signal I got. It was just like, don't do it. I'm like, okay. So yeah, nutritional deficiency. Let's see. Let's continue. The cycle breakers. I have a cool diet and hot foods can cause inflammation. If you guys don't know about what sort of inner temperatures you have, you may want to look up your doshas, and that's Ayurvedic medicine. Your doshas. There's 3 doshas, 3 types, and they each are recommended to eat a certain way to basically keep the temperature of their digestional tract and their body regulated, as well as their digestional tract itself regulated and not stuffed up. So would recommend. That was, that was definitely teaching given back to me in this life for sure. I can say that it's just something deep down that is necessary for us to be considerate of. Again, if you're also a guardian of somebody, you're going to have to get this person's all of their medical stuff and just keep looking, especially if they haven't quite found it yet. There's plenty of other healers, especially medical mediums, you just get a session with them and be like, listen, this person is still struggling with their health. What is it that they need to eat? What is their nutritional deficiency? And a medical medium might go ding, and they'll just get an idea because they have such a huge catalog from their experience of all these things. They'll be able to pull up something in response intuitively for you easier, in my opinion. I'm not a nutritionist, but I've certainly read and experienced a whole plethora of words in many, many different fields. So as a psychic medium, I do a lot of medical mediumship, but it's just a part of it. I also do a lot of animal communication. It's just a part of it, in my opinion. Being a psychic medium is a little bit more general, like throw me whatever. I'll give you something and it'll be interesting, and we'll probably both want to research it after. So good times. Ask about that. Check that out. Don't let them suffer longer than they need to. If there's something you can give them to ease the cells and their primal chaos of please help me. Ah, how wonderfully random. I entered this portal of word. Yes, I am word. Another very powerful statement. I am word. My grandmothers were amazing guardians as well as my mother. I am so blessed. Thank you, Sonia, and may you continue honoring the cosmic mother through your sharing of that beautiful wisdom and energy. I appreciate that. Despite my blessings, they were certainly ancestors who caused difficulty for the lineage. Ah, you experienced difficulties in your lineage still. Agreed. Yeah, Sonia, I've seen you around forever. I'm so glad you're still here. Okay, surrounding you with so much light. It's heart-wrenching. I did understand this as a young mother. I see the damage the damage done for generations. The damage of, disciplining your child with spankings. And I'm not trying to say like any of you guys who ever did that are like, "Whoa, you say, you abused on a cultural level." I can't say the other thing because I'm going to get flagged, but there is a term for this. There is a ritual of this particular action in order to get this outcome in society. So the ritual is for a reason, and there's no help. They don't want to help anybody. That was the final note. It was like, they want to hurt you. They want you to be damaged, brain damaged, and they want you to be useless against them, right? So if you were a weak leader, you'd want that too from your people. Strong leader wouldn't want that. You know how the leader is by how they treat their people. Very helpful. I flew in my dream last night. Ah, lucky you. I mean, there is some bonuses out there. There is little silver linings. We've got the 66% capital gains tax in Canada. Thank you, Trevor, for bringing that in. So many people are asleep, are sleep and nutrition deprived. Vitamins and nap wouldn't hurt anybody. I agreed. Alexia has a theory. They finally released Ozempic to the public only to make people become anorexic so they can't get nutrition. CMOS is recommended here. How many of you guys have just fallen in love with CMOS? Mine's like hardened in its container, so I've like chip away at it. I gotta buy some. I have other stuff I can. Anyways, you don't want to know about that. CMOS, get it in your life. It's something I had to push myself into doing. And yeah, thank God I have friends in the field who, like I said, have a ton of knowledge and experience and can, again, intuitively tell you some helpful stuff. I've lived off of that so many times. I have had the greatest help in the community of guardians and people who have actualized as guardians in a real sense and look out for each other. Us healers and therapists look out for each other, and the priestesses. I'm going to actually invite you guys to something at the end of this. So if you're wanting to stay and really engage this container and you're free, stay to the end because I'm going to invite you to something. But it's a unique thing and it is serious. So priestesses, just letting you know. Just letting you know there's a little bit at the end for y'all. Ma'ams. Okay. We love CMOS. Okay. La la la. I'm consulted with my naturopathic doctor regarding over and underdosing supplements. Excellent. And definitely, if you have the ability, get 3, 4, 5, 6 different doctors and opinions in your realm. Just keep getting opinions, in my opinion, I think. Muscle testing as well is also recommended here. I take a toxin removal support spray daily, but dose will vary dramatically as well. Excellent. And again, intuitively deal with your doses. I mean, we are supposed to be the governors, and we have been taught all our lives to give our power away to someone else who knows better. The medical people making these supplements, the regulatory agencies of our food and drug, whatever. No, you are the governor. You are the governor. I'm taking chlorella tablets now. I just got that signal. It was like, you're going to have to up your chlorella. spirulina. I'm going to go buy some more of that and just start adding it into my meals because we're moving into winter. So everything's going to start slowing down and we're going to pull out all the toxins so they don't stagnate in the body. It's good to do it now. While I'm still sweating, I'm like, get it now. Do it now. Let's do a new cleanse, a fast, water fast. It's not that hard. If you have never fasted though, like for more than a 24-hour window, and 24 hours is an initiation all in itself if you've never fasted before. But if you've never even fasted 24 hours, you don't know yourself. You again got caught up in what culture, in the Western culture, because Eastern cultures, they do fasts. They fast all the time because they've had to deal with parasites and stuff and rotting food and all that. So a little more culturally over there. But I want to say, if you have never fasted for like a 24-hour period where it's no drink, no food, just you and your body for 24 hours, even when you're sick with the flu, you'll still put fluids in. I'd never done it until my adulthood. I had never done it. And I didn't know myself. I didn't know the connection that I truly had with myself until I did that, because it just cleared everything up. All that angst and discomfort, your body just gets to a point where it's like it releases, because it's like it's in preservation mode almost, and it goes into this preservation mode, and it's a different state. And that's also when your body starts to clean itself of the dead, rotting nonsense in your body. I'm sorry, but I got to say it that way so it is palpable. You're like, ooh, motivated to actually fast. So if you've never fasted, it's time to do it. Just do a day and go to sleep. Like, do a whole day and sleep, and then wake up the next day and eat your bone broth. Start with some bone broth or something gentle, and just ask your body what it wants next. It'll clarify your body's voice. It'll clarify your body's voice. So you really will know after 24 hours what you actually should be eating next to truly serve your cells and your body. They will tell you. They'll tell you. And if they don't know better because you grew up in a terrible diet, well, they're going to do their best. But keep informing them with new options. It's such a gift. I mean, can you imagine being a cell and just getting new nutritional packets of information and the diversity of it all? Like, it would keep them almost, I would say, healthier and more intelligent, almost giving them the variety of nutrition like that. I think it creates an intelligence, even in the cell level. Alexia says wants to try tremella. I only trust mushrooms from a few vendors because so many are having trouble with a mold. Yeah, mold is a big issue. I know these people use UV to sterilize, or other like safe chemicals. Very good. So that's for helping your brain, your frontal lobe grow back, basically grow back the connections to the rest of your mind, and your ability to see someone and totally understand them and love them for what they are, and be able to even give them something that that they may need. That is such an intelligence that does get lost. The ability to understand what another human being may need to help themselves be happier and healthier and better off. That's that communal empathic medicine that we have and comes through all of us, and we look after each other with. That's kind of what's coming back through the internet. It allows us to do that. My grandmother was the example of calmness amongst chaos in a dysfunctional family. Wow. What strength. I wonder how she did it. I wonder what she did. Thanks for sharing the tips about the mushrooms, Alexia. Queen Victor is grateful for that. We're definitely avoiding mold. So, excellent. So we are dealing with the alchemy of beings that are clearly lost, are clearly not guardians, and are clearly not taking on the role of an elder in the tribe, right? Because if you're an elder to the tribe, you're an elder to the whole tribe, not just your blood, your little family over here. You're everybody's elder. And that used to just be easy and unknown. We're bringing that back, obviously. Okay, now I don't normally do this in the workshops, but I'm getting a very strong message coming through. And this was coming through before, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to fit this in, but they're stepping forward now and want to speak to you. So if you would just have some patience with me and just playfully listen to the message I'm getting right now through my body. They're kind of standing in front of me, being like, okay, I'm ready to say something actually. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm a psychic medium, in case you didn't know, professionally. So people go to ascensiondiaries.com and they order like a 90-minute or longer session with me. Usually they end up going over, but whatever. They order a session from me. We do a Zoom call. I ask, why are we here? Like, why are we here? And then you give me why we're here. And then it's just like all this information starts coming through for you. And it's a lot. And I record it so you can rewatch it. So when I'm doing my videos and throughout the day, it's now becoming more common for, I want to say, beings to come and kind of show up and walk into my life, I would say, to show me something or to aid me in understanding like kind of where something started or where the medicine is for something. And so the medicine that wants to come through is coming through, and I have a blockage for this. So this is actually hard, but okay. The elder that wants to come through is an Indigenous North American person. I want to say it like that, even though that's not what they consider themselves to be. That's how you would understand them, if that makes sense. They are not from here, but they lived here. And their ways and their practices were mostly not welcome by other more tyrannical and, I would say, lesser evolved species that were also on the earth at the time, or at least at the end of their time came this other race to use the earth for their own lessons. So it was like a pass off. The beings that were here before, who have left many relics and even some of their own people still, and have mixed with these new races and have persisted, and their genetics and their DNA and their medicine is still here. This is all channeled, by the way. I'm trying, just so you know, it's hard sometimes to tell, but I'm speaking just like I don't know what I'm going to say. I'm just saying it. So, and that's why it's like all these sighs, because it's like I have to breathe myself out almost and like breathe in more of the information I'm picking up right now. Basically, what the message is that we weren't a people that spoke very much, is what I'm hearing. And I was hearing that earlier. We actually did a lot of communications through just facial expression. And that was all that was needed, because it was very clear to everybody since day one to the end what their role was, what their role was going to be, and what the role was for the next generation. I'm coming to you today to validate those of you who felt a connection with us and the way that we did things on the earth. There is a great wisdom that we have left behind and is available to those with kind, open, humble hearts, the children of this earth who truly want to reach out and learn the best of the best from the elders, so they may continue their path into becoming an elder and pass on that wisdom with honor and with duty. Now, many of us wore headdresses with feathers. The reason we wore those was to receive the subtle realms and understand the subtle realm communications. And many of you also know that it was men that wore these more so than women. Men appreciated and utilized the tools of the physical world to enhance their own antenna, their spiritual connection, their ability to see into the future before a hunt, before a battle, their ability to understand their role and what was being, you know, through nature in a way was forcing upon them to deal with at whatever time. These elders, I want to say, are Hopi that I'm getting and I work with the most. And they are also, you know, the makers, or I want to say the reason why the Kachina dolls and the Kachina concept is kind of still around is to do with the Hopi people. And these dolls and these representations of the spirit of all these different things that we would hang out with and use in our day to day. And they all came with a dance, and they all came with an archetype, and they all came with a vibe. Some of it was out of world, like it's not from our world. And everything we did had a dance in a way too, and a song. It's not as much talking and discussing and debating and whatever it is that, you know, who can speak or rebuttal the quickest with a cacophony of words and concepts. It wasn't about that. It was about a look. It was all delivered in a look, is what I'm being told. And you could, you know, that's all that was needed. A child could look at an elder when they did something hurtful or selfish or made a mistake, and they'd know. They'd know how the elder felt about that. And the elder would not have said anything, even not even looking at them as a part of the communication in that moment. But just as you see, here's the message. This is the finale. I'm like, why are you here? Just as you see people now speaking to exhaustion their points, their beliefs of what the reality is, I want you to seek those who do not need to speak to make their point. I want you to seek those who do not speak in these words and with these terms. It's so hard to like get, because these guys don't talk. So it's like hard to get words out of the wordless, which is a job I've had to do through psychic mediumship multiple times. Is like there isn't really words, but there is a message, and it can be translated through a look. If you were there looking at who I'm looking at, you know what I mean? You'd probably get the same impression, or you'd watch them perhaps this is the exercise. Imagine this being I'm talking to. Imagine this Hopi elder who maybe has a headdress on with the eagle feathers, hawk feathers, who is spiritually connected and who has realized that speaking isn't actually a sign of strength or a sign of intelligence, as it is being shown in our culture. Imagine this being looking at what you're watching and what you're looking at from media and what they're saying. And imagine what this being would do non-verbally in response to these beings. How would they feel when they look at this being, and would they just be like, and just look away like another child squawking, like, where is the intelligence? I'm scanning for intelligence. It's not there. It's definitely not there, because that person is deeply disturbed. You know, the faster you go, the more you're acting out of fear. Something I learned. The more you're acting out of selfishness. So the more you're acting and the more quick you're trying to do stuff. How quickly are you going to get on top of this story and figure out the truth of this national emergency? And you get your voice out there the loudest and the quickest, most convincing story. Not a sign of intelligence in their practice and what they understand. And I'm just trying to relay that to you for some reason, through they just want to step up and say something. These are my elders in a way, like They would not look upon these beings and trust them with a single ounce of grain, because in their hands, the grain would go moldy through neglect, because they don't care about the wealth and about sharing. That's not where they're coming from. See where their heart is truly coming from. See what emotion they're really expressing. Most of the time, it's fear. You do not want to be around people who are afraid. If they're afraid, they're not thinking about you. They almost don't even have the biological capacity to. Just like those starving cells are people. Nutritional deficiency is the same thing. Usually they cause each other. Person to go into fear easily likely is nutritionally deficient. That's what I'm saying. But what they're saying, and they're here still. It's like I haven't finished their point for some reason. I'm trying to get to it. What they're saying basically is do the work and speak no evil. There has been enough said. We want to know who is the true guardians, who are the true adults, elders, and warriors of this clan. Most of them do not need to speak in reaction, but they will make decisions with everyone in mind. There will be more from us to come. And if you see us, just know we would like to speak to you. And we do not speak often, is what I'm getting. But there is more than just a few looks that some of you need. And we will be there. That's what I'm hearing. So thank you to the elders who stepped forward. Thank you to the elders of this land for stepping up. They were also the ones telling me about how to behave in front of children. Like, this is how you're going to react in front of the children. They're not going to grow much confidence in you as their guardians and elders, and they're going to start detaching and not listening to you or cooperating either in order for themselves to survive, which we are seeing happening with Gen Z and Gen Alpha. They are retracting and they are going into their own little community, basically through the internet, because they cannot handle the lack of emotional maturity and the lack of emotional gartering that is happening all around them. It is overwhelming to their systems. They're more sensitive than us, and they're completely removing us as if we are the growth and the filth that needs to be removed from this earth. And there is this now mentality that everyone older than them needs to go. That's also on purpose. That was a part of the plan, was to have our own children turn on us. Because it's our only hope. It's our only wealth. It's our only truth. Somehow to turn that against us is a very unproductive situation. So if you're having a hard time even reaching your youth, it's probably because they have not met an elder they respect. They have not received a look of knowing from someone who didn't need to speak to make their point. So I would encourage you to go out there and look for elders that are speaking and sharing their knowledge. There's videos of plenty of them as well. Ancestors of these Hopi and Zuni and Navajo, and literally I could be naming names of tribes and bands like all day, and they aren't even said right because a lot of it wasn't spoken. But I would encourage you to continue seeking and working with and receiving the knowledge from the guardians and elders that you think actually have it together. And if you and your child notice that elder, made a mistake or, had a moment where all of a sudden you're like, hey, wait, this person actually isn't grounded and they are still afraid of some things. If that elder or guardian shows that they're afraid of something, learn what it is, figure it out, but it shows that that's the chink in their armor, and that's where they will not be able to protect you because they're afraid of what's going to happen too. So, with that in mind, is there anything going on right now, culturally, that the elders and guardians that are so self-proclaimed but have not been elected are worried or afraid of happening this year? Has that been percolating? Yes, all of their fears have been spouted loudly. And this is me now. So we're all back to Alexis, but like they're standing here, but it's like it is a moment of clarity as well to show what fear is still spouting out of this being that you maybe trusted with your life, but you're realizing now they're still afraid. There's still something in them that's separate from God's plan, or is at least afraid or not fully integrated with the flow of life. They're still trying to control and manipulate something if they're afraid, in my opinion. And this is the alchemy we're going to come up with today. So let's begin. I want you now on your own end to picture in your mind's eye all of the scenarios, people, fears that have come up in the last few days that are concerning to you. There's plenty of fears and concerns, and if they didn't resonate with you, you probably won't even remember them. Like, it's just because we're in kind of PTSD moment. Our brain is not absorbing too much. It's surviving. We're in a survival mode. So please conjure up in your mind now all of the things that did stick to your soul in a way, or were maybe a chink in your armor that you mutually had with some other being. You had a mutual chink in your armor. You had the same fear. What is that fear? I want you to bring those up, multiple, whatever it is. And obviously, if you have a pen and paper in front of you, would be fantastic if you could write them down as they fly through your head right now, because I don't want you to miss a single one. I want this to be a thorough exercise. Please. I can ask that. I can ask that of your participation. And I will let you know the severity of everything I'm saying and doing as often as I can. So we're going to conjure that up into our mind's eye right now, the fears of what could possibly happen that you maybe resonate, which means those are potential timelines that you are maybe permitting or maybe giving permission to bring to life. There is an actual democracy. There is a real democracy that happens. We are really in a democracy all the time. There is a real democracy. It's energetic. You're either going to vote yes, or it's possible, or vote no, it's impossible. And that's how we're navigating timelines as a group. So I started Guardian training so I could at least do my best to navigate the timelines to our highest and best potential all the time. And if I put my soul and my effort and my momentum in that direction, I believe that that is the best chance I have of achieving that day to day, moment to moment. And it has been the case. I've been out of harm's way so much, and I'm very grateful for that through my life. But I've had a close call like homie did on the 14th. And it changed me for sure. It was a catalyst. And it brought fear out of me. It brought my fears and my doubts to the surface, any remaining fragments of it, which, to be honest with you, were not very big, like for me personally. And that's something I'm grateful for. That's maybe why I'm here. I didn't have a ton of fear come up out of that, where my whole life and my life was threatened. And it was obvious that there was some suspicious ass shit going on. You know what I mean? Like, my intuition was like, okay, that was a near miss. And I didn't authorize that on my soul level, which is in the law of one. I didn't authorize it by falling to the darkness enough to allow it to fully take me out. But that's kind of the goal, is to kind of push you, to tempt you into authorizing your own demise by authorizing an equally negative thing to come over and overwhelm you and take you out. So homie didn't authorize that fully because he was still walking in the light enough, and neither did I. So we were able to survive in a way. So what are the fears that are conjuring up in your mind right now? You could relate to homie and his fears, me and my fears. I struggled to get in a vehicle, but I did it. And we almost got hit the exact same way again about like 7 months later. And it was like a moment of like completion. Like it was a less of a close call. So I was doing better. It was like, ooh, you've got progress. Way less scary of a situation, but nearly the exact same scenario, but not as bad. So it was like, oh, you're doing a little better. But that's why I had that dream as well, was like, and we'll get to that. We have to get to that. So we're doing this exercise. So we're going to bring up all this stuff in your mind that you're afraid of happening. Whatever it is, you're writing it down for me, I hope. You're going to own it. We're owning it. We are pulling it out of the shadows. We're pulling it out of the unspoken. We are making it physical, and we are making it in our command. We are taking responsibility for it. So now that these things have come up, which plenty of scenarios, a lot of the media has been also spraying it out there because this is the best for them. All these horrible scenarios, it could be this, could be that, could do this could happen, this could happen. All these people who say that they're prophets and they're like, ooh, I saw it coming, and now I see this, and now I see that, and ooh. All those fears. Let's bring them up. Okay, perfect. So I'm asking you to put them all up in your mind's eye. They're all in front of you, all of your fears that could possibly happen. Now, with me, I invite you, and I won't make you do repeat after me's because I don't believe in those. I don't believe in those. Repeat if you want after you've heard what I've said. You know what I mean? Hear me out. Use the words you like. If someone's asking you to repeat after them in a prayer or an invocation, in my opinion, do not do it. Listen to them, hear it out, and go, well, good thing I didn't repeat that because I didn't fully believe what they invoked. But you can absorb what it is that they believe and what they invoked, and then you can act upon that information as a guardian and make sure the children are all right. We're bringing up all these things in your mind, and now we're going to do some alchemy. Mental, astral alchemy. Bringing all these things up in your mind. Now we're going to turn them to lead. These are the lead in your life. These are the lead of your spirit. The lead as in the actual, I would say this like dark, dead, toxic matter. Whatever. Lead is used for lots of things, but let's just say this is the lead of your life. See it, know it, honor it. I see you, I know you, I honor you. I appreciate all that you have taught me and are teaching me. To me, you are not lead. To me, I now transform you into liquid golden light, as you are truly the blessings and the treasures that I have received from this situation. I am so very grateful that these fears and these concerns are available to me on the forefront of my mind and not hiding from me in the deepness of my subconscious and in my cells. I'm grateful for the opportunity to alchemize these fears and these beliefs that no longer serve me. I now, through my own intention, picture all of these things turning immediately into golden light. And may they shine. They are bright like trophies on a trophy case. These are my golden light trophies. I thank you all for being here. I thank you all for showing yourself, for being brave. I thank you all for what you are directing me to next, which is this golden light as feather light hearts, this brave confidence, this knowledge, this wisdom. Thank you for being the new wisdom that I am applying in my life. Isn't that beautiful? Doesn't that feel amazing? Now I will tell you my dream. Like I said last night, I was tossing and turning and I had multiple dreams. The first dream was the hardest to capture, but I'll tell you what I saw. I saw homie, I want to call him, with the ear injury, homie with the current ear injury. But I didn't even see that in the thing. But I saw him at a podium on top of the steps in front of a huge white, some sort of parliamentary building. You know, it could have been the Lincoln Memorial Building potentially. And Lincoln's been coming up a lot, like a lot. And Lincoln, like, he didn't survive. You know what I mean? So the beings who didn't survive are also showing up, like in spirit, like, oh, this is our thing. This was our theme. This is our medicine in a way. These are what we teach about is situations and scenarios like this. Clashing of power and ideas and the extremes that it can go to. So I saw him standing up there speaking, and the podium, he wasn't very, like, the podium was almost blocking his whole body from the angle I was looking at. I could only see kind of the top of his head and his hat. Looked like he was wearing something, like it was kind of colder out almost. It felt like he was almost wearing a jacket. But I saw him up there, and then I heard and experienced again some chaos and him ducking out of the way, like near miss, you know what I mean? Ducking out of the way. And I don't think like this. And before the 14th, I was getting very heavy messages to go on my own, get into my astral space and like really focus on dream time. And I was struggling to do that because it was inconvenient, honestly. At that time, it was just like I was already struggling. And so to be asked to like step up at that time and do even more, it was just hard. And I got there about halfway and it was enough. I know when I really need to, it'll be easy and I'll be forced into that situation. But it was kind of like a choice. Like I was being recommended to pay more attention to the astral plane a few days beforehand. And I did about medium, but I never got any conscious dreams or ideas about what was going to happen. But the meme stack I posted on the 13th, the night of the 13th, was crazy accurate. And I didn't mean to do that at all. I picked up all those images from the internet that day. So it was being put out there, those memes and those images already through the sources I already look at. But I picked and chose the images that I resonated with the most, that I thought would help make a collage of the day and of the energies, which is what I make those stacks about. They're just basically a collage of energies that served me that day or will serve the next day. I didn't know that when I was posting that I was being so clever and getting all of this prophetic information. No, but I make the meme stacks knowing that that is possible. And that's kind of the point, is like I'm bypassing my conscious mind and allowing these things to kind of go out there. What brought my unconscious to conscious that day, that image I'm going to put in the stack because that served me and I hope it serves someone else in the energies of that day. Anyways, so I had you have to look at it. I'm not going to elaborate because it freaked me out. I was just like, they probably saw me do that and were like, you know what I mean? Like, does she know? You know, it was kind of like one of those. And I'm like, shoot, I don't consider that all the time. It was out of innocence and it was accurate. And that'll happen lots of times. Like I said, listen to what the children say because it's like that. Innocence, accurate data, theme, topic, word, whatever it is you can get out of them, honestly. It's so pure sometimes. So I listen. But I didn't get any, I just knew, and I made a story right before it happened too on my Instagram story and was like, take this moment, take this moment and really enjoy it because the media circus is about to go off. I don't know about what, but I know it's coming because I could feel it in my body because I was immobilizing. I was going full into my feminine, and I'm not a super feminine person. Like I've had to learn in a way the feminine side of things and fight for it for my own health because I was raised in such a masculine environment where it was like work every day, you don't need to rest, like just push through it. And that's obviously that's a 24-hour testosterone cycle mentality, not a 28-day progesterone and estrogen woman cycle. A woman who's making and breaking eggs every month. That's a totally different thing. You know, I need a month to reset my energies, not a day. What you do to me in a month, it's going to take a month to recover from. And that's okay. But I was in my feminine. I knew something was coming, but I had no idea it was going to be something so terrifying. And I was eating a grape, looking away from the screen as it happened in real time, and look back, and I was like, am I hearing what I'm hearing? And then I'm seeing what I'm seeing. And it was just, I froze. Was just like, this is real. Like, this is the timeline. And that was it. It was like, oop, there's the timeline shift. And look at the feelings inside. Like, what is this? This is fear, panic, flabbergast. Like, it was just like, but in my dream, again, I saw a similar scene, but it was potentially in the future. And now I'm seeing that there are people, and that was even the reaction of some was like, oh, this won't be the last time that this is happening. It's never going to stop. And all this, like, there was the extreme level of negative that came out, and a timeline or a decision, a vote, a democratic vote with your spirit to conjure that timeline. That's what some people picked, that it was going to get worse, and they believed it. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. But there was people who saw that and went, you know, clearly God is working. There is a catalyst of the spirit happening right now. And they were able to withhold and observe like the elders did and do. They weren't speaking. They weren't spraying out their ideas or opinions. They were watching. They went into observation mode and, in a way, self-preservation mode. And I assume a lot of people also went out and bought themselves some firearms maybe that same day, honestly. And that was their timeline choice. Like, they chose in that moment. The next action you took after you saw that experience is something you should reflect on, is about your soul, because it was exposed all in that moment. It was like the light shined upon us all, and our souls were exposed. And a lot of people were under the impression that more violence was coming, and that was something they actually wanted. And they were voting yes to violence on our planet with our world. They were voting yes to violence selfishly, without care of other people. They're addicted to the violence. And that's, again, something that happens with that frontal lobe problem. There's a few other parts of the brain, especially in the lower reptilian areas, that also are involved with those mentalities sometimes. That was the first dream. So, with that being said, it's not something I'm trying to conjure. I believe it was just something that and it is trying to conjure right now. It is in the live moment trying to conjure a few of these things, these negative timelines. I know they were talking a lot about the crash or the issues with finances. And I told you at the beginning of this video who I think will be affected by that and why. And it has nothing really, it was destined because they gave their power away to someone that was going to hurt them. And they trusted them over their families. And so that feedback loop is not going to go well because that being and that thing or that promise you were trusting has disappeared. And they don't care. And you'll notice that more now. But if you are honorable and have created a service to others with skills and materials that serve the tribe, you will always be economically sound, in my opinion, from a soul level. And that is a good thing. It may not always be the way that your ego wants it to look, but you will not be forgotten about, and you will be given opportunities, especially if you ask out of the kindness and honesty of your heart, like I do often. I say, hey, I need some help with rent once in a while. I used to say it more, and people would just help because why? Because I had shown up for them every single day for the last few years, giving them space, weather, and just data and support and love and presence and commitment. I showed up. So I need you to show up. I need you to show up and know in your body's mind and spirit that you have a skill and something to trade in the true economy with people, and that you will also be willing to learn and expand that to accommodate any needs of the tribe the best that we can. And I would like you all to deliberately choose a timeline of world peace. Peace be with you, he would say. Peace be with you. You can say out loud, I choose the timeline where there is peace, tranquility, and honor is what I want to say. You may want to say it in another way. Really, I can't dictate what timeline you want to go down. But I would encourage you to put your efforts in to manifesting and deliberately going in a timeline, in a direction, and in a mood and an energy and a vibe and an aesthetic that you genuinely want to invest in. Your investments are all energetic. So I want you to invest stubbornly and demand with authority as you are creator in the flesh. I command. Moving forward, there will be peace, reconciliation, and communal love. And our planet will be strong, united, and capable. We are not distracted, we are unified, and we are guardians. Things like that. So, with the chaotic first dream out of the way, I have one more to tell you before I invite you to the next activity. That'll be on Friday or tomorrow at 2:00 Pacific time, I should say. It's easier that way. Arizona's weird, so right? It is technically going to be at 2 o'clock Pacific as well as 2 o'clock Arizona time because we're in that kind of weird zone. But the next dream is kind of like, I want to say almost like a mental break. I want to say that this will bring you into a different layer of the reality and also of the layers of heaven and earth and blah, blah, blah. There is lore about it all, and it is actively happening all around me, and I'm picking it up culturally all over the place. Mexico is just, oh my gosh. Mexico is next and is the present. You know what I mean? I know things are happening here, but it's actually, in my opinion, spiritually, I'm feeling more of the pressure is to raise the frequency of Mexico and kind of reestablish their spiritual realm again in the way of the light and of the truth and of love. So this other dream that I had, I watched my current dog, Apollo, and my cat, Mika, run into a closet, and I heard like a scuffle, like they were fighting, which they don't do. And so I ran in there and I'm like opening the closet, and out from the closet runs this, a dog I don't know in a way, but a baby, a little baby puppy, a little baby black Cocker Spaniel. And ran up to me, and I picked it up and I was just like, oh, how could you not? I mean, amazing gift and a dream. You got to fly. I got to have a puppy visit. Pretty much the same feeling for me. And to me, it was this almost like, again, a new life, a new child again for me as well. It was like that maternal feeling like, oh, here's a new baby. Like God gave me a new baby. And I was so grateful and just so happy. It was just a very, like right after that other dream, it was just kind of like, oh, and the dogs, for me are such a huge deal because my grandmother who passed away from cancer back in, and that activated me to be like, what is going on? Like her getting sick like that didn't spiritually make sense to me. So that was the catalyst and the mystery to push me beyond, to look beyond the veil. It was the mystery that I couldn't solve. And it pushed me to look beyond the veil, including her death was a mystery I couldn't solve, pushed me to look beyond the veil, look for her, to try and find her beyond the veil. And so I read books about psychic mediums and how they kind of broke in and found their way past the veil. And when I did that, I was given access for the first time myself. And shout out to Teresa Caputo for her book on being a psychic medium. I read that back in like 2014. And I had my first vision on the beach in Cuba. I had to be in Cuba to open up this portal for myself. I don't know why, but I was able to go there with my first boyfriend's family, and I was grieving the whole time, and they were having their weird little experience as a family, and I was in two worlds. It was very much like the first time in my life where I was really walking in two worlds. Reading to, distract me from the, other people who can't think of anyone but themselves. And I can't seem to be calm on their own vacation or like be kind or chill on vacation. It's just like people go on vacation and then they don't change at all. And they're just like neurotic and controlling, and they lose touch with the nature they went and visited. In my opinion, you go on vacation to experience nature and Mother Nature in a new way and enjoy her. And it's like a lot of people, I don't think, have that in mind at all with when they go places, but I did. So anyways, I'm reading this book, and she tells me about how to kind of basically use my third eye for the first time. So it's kind of like, okay, close your eyes, meditate, and then ask for opportunity to talk to those you love that are gone. Ask for them to come visit you and show you something or speak with you or give you a sign and like lead you into a better communion and communication with them. And then you'll start getting signs that from that particular loved one that will show you that they are breaching the veil, and there is a communication going on beyond the veil, because there's no way you should be seeing that object unless there's a purpose. And it hits us all. You've probably experienced this already. So I'm reading the book. They tell me how to open up, and I'm like basically trying to open the window into heaven was what I was trying to do. Was like, let me just look up there. I just want to open up a window and let me see, let me see where she is. Let me see where what happened, like what's going on up there, like show me. And with my eyes open after I had attempted and kind of, didn't really get anything the first time, but I got up from my book, closed it, had been on the beach reading, so it was hot and kind of a little delirious. I got up and then immediately I began walking, and in my waking vision, a layer of a picture showed up that was not there, but it was like an in between layer of my vision opened up for me. And all I saw, it opened, and all I saw were dogs, and just dogs running at me like from heaven, like just happily running. They weren't running anywhere, but it was just, and it was my first time. So I was just like, stunned that I could see with my eyes open something that wasn't there, but was what I was trying to contact and like open up to and see. And to see it the first time was just so exciting. But it was so funny because I knew for me that that was certainly where my grandmother would be in the land where the dogs are, because that's how she lived her life. And right before she passed away, she became like a national Kettle Club judge that could judge, I'm pretty sure, the best in show of like any species at the professional like dog showing, thing, like the legit stuff. And North America Kennel Club or whatever it was. She had all the experience in the years and the trophies and everything to like make her way up into that position. And then she died pretty much like after that. It was kind of like, okay. And she went to Costa Rica once because they didn't go to Hawaii, even though that's where she really wanted to go. They went to Costa Rica instead. And then that was basically the end for her. It was like, that was all that she was able to do. And then she passed away. So this land of dogs made sense for me personally to talk to and like know that I had somehow opened up the portal or the window between me and where my grandmother had ended up, or at least was hanging out in the spirit world. And I was so happy. And then I saw a hummingbird right after that, and like a dime, right after that. And it was just like, oh, this is real. And it was so amazing. And now that's like my daily life. I live in that realm now. It's like once you start, you don't really leave. Like you broke the seal, it's open. And I have learned now that the Aztec believe that when you die, your dog, or at least if you didn't have a dog would be assigned to you, I think. This is very crude. I just learned this, but that there is a realm that you go to as you're passing on, I think, in the spirit world that is governed by dogs. And it's kind of like the first realm. And you go there, and your dog that you loved or didn't, or were abusive to, either way, your dog would either come up to you and find you and then guide you across the river to the next realm, or the waters or whatever, guide you to the next realm in whatever way, whatever translated into English nonsense there is, they would guide you. And I hadn't heard that before. I didn't know that. But I mean, I was in Cuba, but I didn't know that. So to me also, I'm now going, did I just open up to that layer and just see the dog zone, but I didn't actually see where she was? Like now in retrospect, I'm like, was that where she was, or was that the first layer of heaven that, you know, I was seeing? I'm not sure, but it is a fun thing to talk about. But if you were good to your dog will meet you in the afterlife and guide you through the confusingness of the spirit world or whatever to a safe place, a safe haven for your next part of your journey or whatever. I'd encourage you to look that up if that's resonating with you. But my grandmother, for example, would have had hundreds of dogs waiting for her. You know what I mean? Like genuinely, because she had been breeding dogs for uh, decades, all different types too, not just one specific breed. So She knew something, I don't know. She was really getting her points in with the God collective, but the dog collective. But the way that she acted upon the dogs and their free will and the whole idea of showing and breeding, it has its distortions. And I didn't want to do that with my life, and I didn't want to do that with animals. If anything, all I ever wanted was a sanctuary for those whose whose people no longer wanted them or were abused, and would have a safe place with a human to be and be loved and be amongst other dogs and have their honest, sweet little life. Like, being a dog sanctuary is, or an animal sanctuary is certainly more in the direction that I'm going with my time. A people sanctuary as well. As a King of Hearts archetype, I can do that. I can be the king, and I can, a King of Hearts as well. So the loving king, and I have that energy, I have that archetype in me. So I naturally come off that way and act that way. And that would just serve my archetype very well. It would fulfill me in a way, and my archetype, to have that in my life as a sanctuary where I can look after people and animals and also have my privacy and connection with spirit and meditate and never lose track of those that I've lost beyond the veil. Like, I have to give them that time too. So, this realm of dogs. I've had puppies in my dreams many times come up and greet me and support me, and dogs in general. For me, it was the thing that pulled me out of my dangerous depression when I was in the second grade, where you may be losing the soul of your child to the system, and there's like a real panic there. That's what my family did, was they brought in, not her specifically, but one that looks like her in a way, and brought her in for our family in a way to save our souls and save my soul. And it worked. It saved my soul. My family knew. As I was in that position, I didn't know, what was going on, which was also a part of the problem. I now know a lot of what was going on, and I don't want to know. I don't want that to be right, but I've been led through the mystery beyond the veil. Like, this was one of those mysteries. Like, what happened to me in second grade? What was that about? And why did I need this dog to save my soul? I now know a little bit more about probably what happened. And I've met a bunch of people now who have had this similar testimony, and I keep them all close because I genuinely understand them. I relate to them the most. And so, dogs as guides in this life are also going to guide you in your next, or through your death window process, which is like a 3-day long window. As a lot of the practices have told me, is like, it takes 3 days fully for that process, which is also maybe why resurrections, or bringing people back right after they had passed away, was a miracle that the apostles were able to do, and so on, because that window hadn't ended yet. It's like 3 days is like the longest time, or something like that, in a way. It's kind of, I think, what the story tries to tell you. It's Jesus himself, like, 3 days. That's the end point. So yes, the dogs are very important, and they are the alchemy. They are who have coming in and are serving us in our alchemy as we're here and alive as well. And they have a very, very important function. And if you've struggled in a way to understand dogs, perhaps, I'd love to talk to you about it. I'd love to channel about it for you. I'd even do it for free, because I feel and it's very important to kind of understand the purpose of dogs and what they are and what they're actually here doing. I think we take them for granted a lot, as well as pretty much every other species here, but they all have their role, spiritually and physically. And the dogs was the one that came through for me to help me reinvigorate my inner child, to make me feel cared for, loved, to reinvigorate the innocence, my maternal instinct, in a way too, like the clarity and the perfection of that maternal instinct. It was so nice and it was good. It was a good feeling to recover my nervous system from even the PTSD that I feel like I was experiencing, not on purpose, but it had happened. And it is a beautiful thing. So bringing in a child or a youth or someone into your life can reorganize your whole chemical imbalances of your mind, body, and spirit. Like it's a beautiful thing. And speaking about the missing children and the unaccounted for children and any sort of issues with children is of utmost importance. Guess who? I'm getting a phone call right now, and it's from it's from Pennsylvania. Don't love that. Ooh, I don't love those phone calls. But I got to talk about the children, and then came the call. It was like, where is she? Doesn't matter because the children are within us first. Our own inner child is our number one responsibility. Then the inner children of the people you love and are around is someone you protect fiercely. And you choose at any cost to not ever harm or debilitate or tear down anyone else's inner child, ever. Don't do it. And dogs bring that out in people. They bring out their inner child as well as their guardian side, which is very interesting. So it's like your inner child is happy and elated and justified, and your guardian energy is also fully intact. And you have responsibility for the self and this being. And if there's no questions asked for most people, it's like, of course, I will protect this baby, this child, or this puppy. Like, of course. Like, ooh, don't even get close to them. Like, why would you even ask me that question? Like, immediately, like, ooh, can you protect them? Why? What do you mean? Like, it's very instinctive. So that was the other message I got. And then finally, at the end of the night, I was just I was at some sort of house or community hall or something with a bunch of my team. And I've physically in the flesh met a lot of these people since I began this mission back in 2014. And since meeting a lot of them also, we've had to like exchange codes really fast and then go back to our posts. And I haven't even seen a lot of these people in the physical for years now, some of these people. And it doesn't feel like years because everything, the mission speeding up and what we do in the astral is every night. And I don't remember most of it, but I do sometimes. And when I do get to peek into the astral, I mostly am seeing this group of people, give or take and they're discussing, we're conversing, you know, we're in tribe. It's like going to a retreat. You're just there. There's a bunch of mutuals there. You're all chit-chatting about your favorite, niche topic, and you're all relaxing and kind of taking a break and having a good time. Is what it felt like. And I go to that all the time in the astral. And that is the goal at the end of the day. Like I'm going to bridge those 2 points. My physical life and that part of my dream world are going to merge. And that's like I've been shown to me a million times, and I already know that's the plan. So somehow it's going to work out where most of these people I know I have kind of work with in the astral are going to be all together again and whatever. Even if it's after we leave these physical bodies, doesn't bother me at all. Like when you pass away and you leave the physical body, you learn everything. You return to the intelligence, in my opinion, and you just know. You know why everybody did what they did that you couldn't figure out when you were in your body. But then all of a sudden you're like, oh, that you get perspective. You get the entire perspective and you have compassion pretty much immediately for every single person because you finally see the whole picture. And you know that it's serving the momentum of creation. You have a better perspective of that. I understand that. And as a medium, that is what comes through all the time. It's like just this, you could get your best friend out of a family member after they pass away because they have this new understanding about you. And then they step in as your guide or because they relate and they want to help and they know what to do. So I have a lot of dog guides, I would say, and or I am just like a ambassador or a teammate of the dog people, I would say, and I always have been. My first email address, the first email address you ever had to make, what was in that email address? I had two things in that, and the two words that were in there, was a very long email address, were puppies, and the other word was rainbows. So, two of my big things. I was like, what am I going to make my email about? It's going to represent me. Those are the two things. That was me. And I don't even know how old I was when that would have been happening. Probably like in the innocence of my childhood still. Like, I remember my dad making me make this email address. He was like, you're going to need this. What is it going to be? And I'm like, here's my answer. And he was just like, okay, made my email for me. So rainbows is another big part of this. And a part of the alchemy of today actually is the rainbow body experience. A lot of people don't know about this in the West because all the national parks are private and you can't just go climb into a cave and meditate all day because no one's allowed. You know what I mean? There's deep policing happening on every square footage of Duck Island, which is like North and South America. It's insane. So what they would do, I've heard is how you achieve this turning into basically a rainbow and transcending without having to go through some sort of weird death moment. It's like, no, you are choosing to literally shift yourself back into rainbow light and go back to the intelligence. It's like inverting yourself on purpose. And people do it. And I heard that how it's done is you basically have to sit in isolation for 13 years or longer. Like, you have to sit in isolation. You have to go through and mentally think of everything that you're attached to, everything you have a desire for, had a desire for, any person that you've met that had any sort of impact on you that could have a cord attached to you from your experience with them. You have to deliberately for years and years just meditate and remove those cords or send those cords back, like unplug them from you and send them back until there's no more cords. And then I guess you're allowed to leave after that. But the point was also that you could not have a negative thought for like 13 years straight. And then you were able to then you were back to the intelligence, like that ultimate compassion of the all knowingness makes you just not have any sort of negative thoughts for 13 years because you've achieved that level and you've detached all these if, ands, or buts from your past. It's been documented, I guess, many thousands of times that monks were able to do this in a way. And basically all they leave behind is a very smaller kind of husk-like self. There's not a lot of matter left when this happens, if any, which is fascinating. So definitely would encourage you to look up that technique if that's how you were thinking maybe you wanted to spend the next 14 years of your life. That could be your timeline. You could have saw what happened on the 14th and went like, I'm just going to go do that actually, because I could choose this every day for the next how many until society collapses and I've done nothing to do my part or help or vote in any direction, or, choose something else. Like, you can choose whatever you really want to, but if you want a communal, success where nobody's life is being threatened, then I would encourage you to continue meditating on that and driving the pathway of our timeline forward for that. But if you're ready to just be one with the intelligence and you're not worried about any of what's going on here and you don't want to catalyze with any more weird events, then that's an option. And I would encourage you to look it up. Do it. Rainbow body out of here. I'd be there. I'll take the picture. I'll be there. Have somebody call me. I don't know. I don't even know how they would do something like that. Well, you figure it out. 'Cause you're so darn smart and connected with the intelligence. It'll all be done. You could maybe even telepathically hit me from a dream and be like, yo, who knows? Like, it's all been done. You know what I mean? It's all been done, in my opinion. Everything's been done. It's just, what do you want to do? What do you know you're even capable of? That's what all these beings that come here and flex and do these amazing feats will do. They'll just give you more options about what you want to try too. And if you are that soul that's here to show people more options about what they can do with their time that's fun and developmentally, you know, benevolent, then go ahead. You know, that's why I think you're here. And I will watch and I will learn from you happily. Send it to me, show it to me, teach me. Yeah, I'm feeling the silence. That's the part they want me to mention. Again, it's coming through the silence, the power of the silence. These dudes who go rainbow body, I don't think they're saying much. They may be doing mantras, but I don't even know if that, like, I don't know them. I don't know. I haven't witnessed it myself. But the silence that they experience while they're going through this process is also talked about, the silence in the mind. And I have experienced this silence, and I used to talk to people about it, like, why are you, I'd be like, why are you fussing? Like, why so much? Like, just shh. You know what I mean? I used to be like, just shush. Like, or people would ask me, like, what are you doing? Or what's the plan? Or what's going on? And I'd just be like, I've got nothing. Like, I am in the silence. And I've got no motive. I've got no agenda right now. I am just being. And I'm grateful that I had those moments, because I'm grateful that I knew that those were good moments and those were important. And that is a skill that I can achieve. And I've considered rainbow body as an option as well for myself. And it fascinates me. And I'm definitely looking forward to learning more about that. But more so, the message I'm getting is that I'm going to be living a long time, and that there's lots of time for this sort of whole thing to get worked out. So don't panic about needing to fix the world right now, like all of it right now, which I think a lot of people are putting that stress on their shoulders, and they're like, well, clearly there's a problem and we must fix it now. It's like, you will begin the process of fixing it now, but it will not finish for a while. And there will be edits done. And as we'll learn as we go as well. And that silence in your mind, that peace, if you can achieve it, and if you aren't achieving it, again, that may be something with your nutrition and your blood sugar levels as well. And if you aren't achieving it still, then you need to exercise more, because you have to, push your spirit through your body and push all of that almost unmetabolized stuff out of your system, or even have your body eat it for energy while you're working out, in my opinion. That extra rage, let your body eat it as it does exercise. It's extra energy, put it into your muscles, into your bones. Again, alchemize it. Use it for liquid gold. Use it as your wealth. See it as your wealth, not as this like anchor, or this darkness. So all those fears that you've conjured or thought of, truly honor them, in my opinion. Honor those fears, because it shows you where your values lie. Are you afraid that something's going to happen to your country and you want it to be safe? Well, good. And then I want you every day thinking about and saying, like, God, protect this country. God, protect these people. God, protect me and my loved ones. God, show us how to thrive and praise you. God, show us how to glory you in all of that we do in every moment. And I think that would be a much more productive place. And like, thank you for these lessons, and thank you for allowing me to alchemize this fear into like a value in a way. It's like, Your fears show you your values, and you should honor your values because but also put them up to scrutiny all the time. Like always be listening, always be open-minded, always be willing. Neuroplasticity is a thing. Our brains are neuroplastic, which means they can adjust and shift and reprogram themselves very easily. And even if a whole part of your brain, literally, you were born without it, your body will neuroplastic itself, those functions into other parts of your brain to a point where people won't even notice. And then you'll do a brain scan and be like, whoa, your whole whatever lobe is not there. And the person's like, oh, sometimes it's not even a big deal. Like we are that capable. We are that neuroplastic. I know you guys maybe didn't go into psychology and read all these textbooks about all of this stuff, but I did. I've read, I don't know, maybe 10 to 15 textbooks a year for like 4.5 years. That's a ton of reading and information. And all I did was regurgitate it intuitively. Like I would read it was a lot of multiple choice questions in my university for this particular skill. So I began starting to hear things and like intuitively be able to answer my tests. I would read the textbooks, but then I would read the questions on the test in the voice of my teacher. So I would hear their question through their voice, and then I would see which one of those answers sounded like their voice. And I was doing things like that at the end where it was like, oh, this is more than just regurgitating knowledge. I'm like intuitively like making my way through this education. It was just part of my awakening. And then I got too far into that feminine side, and then I could see everything walking around, slurping the energy off of these innocent young people. And I was just disgusted because I saw how drained I had been. And I was such a powerful light. I knew that. Cheer captain, energy literally was like, oh, I am nearly dead. I'm so depleted. And I have been training like a crazy athlete for 6 years, and I am nearly dead tired from doing just a normal bachelor's degree. I was just like, this is hell. Like, this is poison. These people are going to be drained beyond reason before they even enter the workforce and try to help anybody. And I was just so turned off by that I'm glad that we had this renaissance in 2020 when people were being pulled out of those institutions because it wasn't safe. You had to stay home. Like the institutions of education were a prison created to drain you and make you stupid and unobedient. And we keep putting our kids in there. It's like generation after generation had a terrible time, shove them in there anyways. It's abuse. Like they're putting you in something they know is going to hurt you. And they haven't thought of any sort of solution to maybe save you from the abuse that they experienced. In a way, almost it's, you got to do it too, because I'm too tired basically now to deal with you. So again, hand them off. We're done. We can't do that. We have to keep our energy, no longer be tired, no longer hand off our children to anybody, our power, our businesses, our money, our ideas. Do not easily give those to anyone, ever. Look out for them, guard them, nurture them. That is your garden. And again, I believe there is a benevolent force that brings friends along when you're doing honest work and you need honest help. And you're allowed to ask. Thank you, God, for bringing me help. Thank you, God, for showing me that I need help. And thank you, God, for bringing it to me. I accept and understand that this is bigger than me, and I'm accepting the help. And just let it come in. Let it come in. You may get an email literally right away, like, homeschooling lady is opening up for 2 extra kids, and she's your neighbor. And like, even switch off. You do 3 days, she does 2 days, whatever. Like, keep the kids busy and educated, but safe. There's ways, and it's happening. I saw it happen. It was forced upon us then, and people adapted and saved every child, I would say, from the full effects of that system fully draining their life force. It's like we broke free so much of the mandatory cultural implementation of these schools. Amazing. I was so grateful. And now there are entrepreneurs like crazy. And you guys are developing your own materials and your own skills and talents, and you're sharing them with people. And this is it. This is the good. This is the shift. And so what is the shift of good that's going to happen after all of what we saw? There's going to be a lot more people who are far more weary of going into crowds and arenas and movie theaters and malls and all of these public spaces, which were basically designed to be traps, rat traps, disaster traps. Don't go to any baseball games. That's for sure one that I was told. Do not go to any baseball games. I haven't been going to the movie theater for years now because there's nothing you can say to get me in there. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't gone to a sports game. I haven't been locked or like within a dangerous, I haven't put myself in those positions because I've noticed that there is uncertainty and that there is, I want to say honestly, the devil is lashing out, and it comes out through people as a last resort. This energy that wants to be right so badly that it'll do anything it can to push that onto the reality around it. The person who, and the people who perpetuate this, the victims of this situation in a way, like we're learning to see the cues of that before there's ever a problem. We are learning the cues and the hints of somebody who looks like they may decide to turn on their fellow man and child. We're seeing it. We're seeing what it looks like. What are the behavior patterns of beings that are who are sick? And they're sick. We're seeing what we need to see to learn and grow and fortify. There is always going to be safe places, is what I want to say. I'm not trying to make this sound like you got to avoid everything. You go with your instincts always. But if your instincts go, I don't want to go to that game, movie, mall, place, I just don't feel it, then just don't. You won't even regret it. I promise. Something else will come up. You won't even remember probably that you turned that thing down. But if it's like instinctively like, hey, do you want to do this? And your body's like, oh my gosh, I've been waiting for that. It's usually the feeling, oh, I've been waiting for that. Because it's in a way your subconscious and your premonition and your astral, you already know on the other density what's happening to you in the future. I understand that. And the quantum layer, the time space versus space time layer, you can see across time. And so part of you is connected to that. And when you're like, oh, I've been waiting for that, then that's the thing. And there's definitely going to be catalysts there for sure. And probably catalysts you won't expect because it's part of your soul test. But you know that those are for you, and you won't regret going there because you knew you were waiting for that. Usually you won't regret it. I think the main message of the alchemy of today that I'm trying to get to through all of this is that you are the alchemist, obviously. You can take any fear that comes up in you and turn it into wisdom. And that is the alchemy that we're capable of as creator. And one of the easiest ways to alchemize, if you're not sure yet what to do, but you know you don't want to be doing that or being in that energy, you don't want to be afraid, but you're in fear. You don't want to be having a PTSD moment, but you are. What do? You dance. You put on the music and you dance, because that can go in both directions. Deep mind control, complete hypnosis direction with music and dance can go in that direction. And Pinocchio talks about that, the Pinocchio story, where they like hypnotize them into that. Watch Pinocchio and like go over what the lessons are if you watch it with your kids. like, don't watch them too young, but yeah. The young kids won't get it. They'll just be afraid. But if you're a little older and you're actually learning how to comprehend storytelling, it's a great story with a great lesson. But then there's the side of dancing that's totally natural, and what the Kachina and the Hopi and the all of you guys, I can't say your names. I know there's 100 names, but they all were able to dance and stomp and play on the earth and the fire. Literally, if you're having an issue with your soul, or you're feeling tired, drained, like you've been in front of screens too long, start a fire. Like, get a bonfire going, get a campfire going, be in the flame. Literally, let the flame lick your aura. Let it purify your aura. You will feel it. You will feel it. Even at the dancing or the music festivals that I've gone to, you're standing in front of a stage. There's all these very high tech, deep, loud speakers that are making noises. We don't hear anywhere else, because these are speakers you can't just get anywhere else. They're high production, very large speakers, very big noises, very big complex sound waves coming out of there with lights. And you're dancing and blah, blah, blah. And it's all in a way, it's artificial. And then I have to turn out of there when I'm done and like, okay, we got to go to bed, but I can't go to bed until I sit next to the communal fire pit that's also usually set up at these things, and let it cook off all this weird, even I don't even know if it's ions, negative, positive ion situations, kind of what it feels like, and be under the stars with the fire and just let those clean you. And then you can go to bed and reset. But dancing around the fire is so cute, because I feel like almost we think it's beneath us, or like archaic, or like caveman like, and we don't do it every day anymore. But I think that's the one thing we should have never gotten rid of. And if you can reinstate that into your life, you're going to be able to clean off so much stagnant energy and hope for better for our world, in my opinion. So that's the goal. I definitely at the sanctuary is going to have a bonfire every night with dancing, and for health purposes. Okay, I'm going to read comments for a second. And then I will invite you to the next activity. It's happened to you, Alex, where you've downloaded gaze from a tribal elder. Ah, perfect. Thank you for saying gaze, because I was struggling with, you know what I mean, the vocab on that one. So thank you, Alex, for your input on that. As usual, your input is always appreciated. Yes, the looks that they give you. It's a lot of just looks that they give you. And I've seen a lot of very unimpressed looks, especially when I was living in Sedona. It was hard. It was hard to watch, because I feel like the people there are so lost on what is actually going on there. A lot of them are. And the people who think they really know are some of the most lost, which is usually the case, because people know-it-alls, their self-esteem is actually real terrible. And there's a reason, because they don't actually believe what they're doing. They're just hopeful that what they're doing is the right thing, but they don't feel it yet. There's a lot of people who get rich and then they feel empty, because it's like, well, actually, you don't even know what you're doing here and what the land even is doing. Like, you're not in connection to nature. You're disconnected. And man, the looks and the information I get, I tread that area very carefully, because I can't even say it. I can't even say it, because again, I definitely am here for the highest and best timelines, but I have seen things where I'm just like, okay, people are going to learn one way or another how to listen to nature, and graveyards, grave sites, mass graves. Anyways, stay away from those mass graves, you guys, unless you're brought there and then you realize you're at one, and then go, oh, I'm here. You brought me here clearly. I didn't mean to be here. What can I do? You want me to pick up these aluminum cans? And all right, I'll take these rusty nails out of here. Thank you. Thank you for having me. If they bestow on me your wisdom, I'd be honored. Thank you for guiding me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And like, I will continue on and may you be in peace. Like, be so careful around grave sites. Nice. This was who you saw. Or in our Lions, Junior and Native American Faith Keeper of the Wolf Clan. We have Wolf Clan here. We have some Bear Clan here, I know. Very nice. Okay. Anna says, animals, so amazing. My cat, Little Ninja, uh, at least healed your nervous system. Very good. Yes, they do. I'm done with the rainbow thing personally, but learning to practice neutral separation was enormous for me. That energetic cording will displace your own life force. I totally agree. Those cords will displace your life force, and you're not living your life for other people in a way. You have to live your life and look out for you in this body. It's like you have to look out for this body. It relies on you to look out for it, right? You're heading out. Very nice. Homeschooling way more prevalent and way more options for education in general, just to get an education so you can continue your own education. Like, we have to educate you on how to learn or how to, interpret all of our, books. So you need to learn how to read and write and maybe do a little bit of math for sure. We'll show you that, but then pretty much everything else is there for you to research and study and grow and learn from. Don't waste your time learning everything as a child. Just give them what they need so they can pursue their own learning in what we already have created as a library of a planet we are. So many books. Like, it's crazy how many books there are. But all of the textbooks from like all North America are made by like the same company. So they're not getting that variety of knowledge the same way when you're in school. Getting a highly edited version of everything. And life is not highly edited. So it doesn't give a real face to what it is to live on Earth and learn on Earth. It's not a manicured situation. It is not perfect at all. And anyone who thinks they're manicured or perfect is someone to deeply be aware of. Like, okay, watch out for that person and what they believe, because they think they've got it all figured out. But they don't know anything about me, so they're definitely void of that information. What else could they not know? Exactly. Okay. You miss going to concerts? Yes, but you're going to be hosting your own concerts. I miss going to school, honestly. I love school. I mean, I loved sitting in and listening to lectures and learning on my own terms in university. And that was so great. And I would go to universities all over the country and sit in on classes every single day for the rest of my life. It would be a great hobby. I would love to do that. Just audit and I would love to grid every school as well. So just auditing every school and gridding them at the same time would be so fun for me. And it could be something I do with my time later on. I don't know. I assume so because it seems very fun. But if there's anyone even in those buildings teaching anymore, I don't know yet. Seems like we're still deciding what we want to do to repurpose all of this structure that's still sitting here, but no longer being used the same way, thankfully, to coerce the mind of Earth. Sometimes those are places I feel called the most because there's something that will be inspired by me. Oh, the big places like coliseums and sporting events and malls and casinos. And like, I've been walking through them too on occasion. I get it. There is always stuff in there. If you feel like you should go, go. But if you feel like I don't really want to do that, but I'll do it because no. If they want to do it, they're meant to go. You don't want to do it, you're not meant to go. And if they can't figure that out, then they're not your friend. It's all good. There's plenty of other people out there. Literally, like, we're going to be getting up to 10 billion soon here. So lots of options for you. Put yourself out there. Somebody will be attracted to your vibration and think everything you like is the same thing they like. I've done it. I've proven it to myself. with Ascension Diaries. I literally just put whatever it is that I like out there without any fear of judgment. I'm like, it'll sort through all the people who aren't for me because they won't resonate with what's truly me. And I don't have to watch them go through that experience either, which is nice. It was so hard as an empath watching someone not resonate with something you liked. And you're like, okay, like now I feel weird that you don't like something I like. It's like, no. Well, thankfully, the internet made that a lot easier too. The policing and judgment and stuff is it's changed societally for the better, I think, in a lot of ways. People are not being bullied into submission by their own families or their own religion over and over and over and over. It's not really a thing anymore if you have internet access. It's like, here you go. It's a way to escape even the traumas and the cycles of your own family and local town abuses and stuff. Like, look beyond, finally, see beyond. Hi, everybody. Interested in learning more about grid work? Certainly, I'd happy to finish this episode with some grid work information. So, grid work is a term that I've used, but also I've come upon people who've used these terms. I've learned a lot of stuff from other people who are really good at communicating, which is something I had to learn in this life because I was being stifled my voice for a long time. And I wonder why, but I'm over that now. I'm practicing the speaking part. I'm, excuse me, raising my vibration. And I can speak about these things because it's almost like I know them, but I can't say it in English. So I've been waiting for someone to say it in a way that made sense to me in English. And I was like, yes, they've got it. That's the word. Yes. And then I'm like, thank God. And then I can put that in my brain and then regurgitate the information that it's coming to me, but it's not in English or like in words. It's just a knowing. Some people are, different with their knowings. They treat their knowings different. Anyways, so grid work. The Earth has an electromagnetic grid, and some people think that it's like this perfect shape, perfectly gridded, perfectly parsed up over the Earth, and I don't think that's quite right. Personally, it doesn't resonate with me. The best way to kind of, in my opinion, understand what points are important on the grid have to do with their elevation and the surrounding elevation. And like lightning grounds, like where will the lightning ground? That's the active node on the grid near you or in that scenario. Does that help? So where is the lightning going or where is the water gathering or moving? That's the electromagnetic pressure, and that forms this organic grid, in my opinion, from my understanding. It is a biological thing. There is electromagnetic aspect to it, which is why people who do dowsing are successful at grid work, because sometimes, there's more subtle areas and not just like the mountaintop in the area that clearly is the most, lightning connected spot. So dowsing areas for underground water, pooling underground or moving underground water is amazing because you can't live over or near those because that water literally pulls your life force out. And so if you know somebody who's sick as well, or if you get sick, move your bed to a different position in the room or move to another room in the house to heal. And check or douse that area that you got sick in your normal room to see if there's any groundwater beneath you. They have dowsing rods all over the place. It's becoming very popular, dowsing, again, thankfully, because it is what we do. People can do it with a stick. Like it's there. The electromagnetic grid and those flows of energy and the water, it's all happening. And so people become more and more sensitive to it with practice, especially people who douse. Some people can just do it with their bodies. They don't need a dowsing stick. They've kind of gotten to that subtle level. Again, that's why wearing the the feathers on the headdresses of the war bonnets and stuff is again to totally capture those subtle energies and figure out where the energies are moving. It was meant for that, in my opinion, and give you that full another layer, that sense of what the electromagnetic grid is doing around you at that time, above and below you. So, if you want to grid work, you have to become acquainted personally and spiritually with the highest point near you that the lightning is going to be hitting the most, and the water near you that is pulling and moving energy past your home or your territories. And put your own love and energy in those places. Usually people will put a quartz down that they've kissed and loved, and mwah, this quartz is full of my love and pureness and my good intentions, and I wish to commune with this space and be in the know with the grid. And I'm putting my vote here, and I'm here if you need me. And they bury a quartz, or offer, like, even arranging the stones in the area to just make that intentional mark on the place, but not actually hurt or mark up the nature. Or even maybe even leaving a sign that you were there, or at least someone was there, by arranging some of the rocks or twigs in a way that is an intelligent way to kind of show that there was an intention here. And that's a meditation in itself too. It just brings your focus and intention into that location. So get to know those areas. And then when you're sitting at home, and feeling your meditations, tap into those areas first and see what they're doing. But promptly after you begin this process, you will likely begin realizing where you have to go next. And that's just the natural progression. And so you may be on top of that mountain finally, and you're like, yeah, this is the highest point, and I'm in communion, and it's currently not storming. So I'm definitely not going to get struck by lightning. Don't go out there to get struck at all, especially now. There's so much lightning going on. Don't even chance it anymore. I'm just getting the signal. Do not go out while there's thunder and lightning. Do not go outside. Just don't, especially spiritual beings with a really good conduit of energy, a good channel. Don't go out there because you might get hit with that lightning, that intelligence. It might just be attracted to you. I've been getting that signal. So just do not go out there when it's lightning and thundering or getting close. Like, no, just don't. In my opinion, save yourselves. Just don't bother. That's when nature is doing its grid work and like trying to do stuff. Like, don't get in the way. Go afterwards and see what's changed or what's moved, or what are the updates basically from this heavenly information that's coming through lightning. Like, what is this? There might be some info there. It might be worth a check out if you feel guided to go, but just go where you feel called. What is magnetically pulling you towards it? Is it this mountain range or this mountain range? Is it this state, this lake, this pile of rocks, this tree, this dead tree? Oh, I'm always at the dead trees. Love them dead trees. Wow. Are they amazing? Node points. Big fan. I don't know what it is. I can't put it in words yet, but love them dead trees. And usually at the top or lookout or a very important node point, there's always just somewhere, all of a sudden, there's somewhere for you to sit. There's a rock presented, and you get to sit on it and view and look around and just keep doing your hike until you find your rock to sit on. That's what I do. And you'll know, like, that's where I'm supposed to sit. And sometimes there'll just be a beautiful little cutout butt imprintation on it. It's not, human made, but you're like, wow, this is some Hello. Sorry about that. I think we should be okay now. The walking stick that you choose sometimes to go up to go grid the area will show up right at the beginning of the trail or at the beginning of your journey too. So if you know you're going to be hiking up or you need a little extra help because it's going to be a longer trek than you realize, just take a walking stick with you, and there probably will be one there conveniently for you to use. Very helpful tool, as well as a conduit of your energy and grounding yourself into the ground. As long as you know it's a stick. But yes, so going up to these points, going to one grid point, and then knowing the next one you want to explore. It's a self-led experience, but it's not really self-led. It's more like instinct-led because it's not coming from your mind as much as it's coming from the magnetic fields. And so you're being pulled magnetically and or synchronistically. You'll be experiencing a ton of synchronicities about the spot you're supposed to be at next, or at least meditating with non-locally to engage with the grid that you're building or in getting information from. So with that being said, that is the finale of this particular workshop. The Magdalene manuscript is one I've been reading. I would highly recommend this book, but I haven't even read the practices. I would say the actual, all the little practices that you can do to like do the alchemy between lovers basically, and like a man and a woman, but also yourself, just the alchemy of like getting your sexual energy or your life force energy moving in your benefit. I would say I actually didn't read that part yet, which is kind of funny, but it's not my fault. I am reading into it. But what was really important to me was the first part, which was the actual Mary Magdalene channeling. And then the last part, which was Judy Sion's personal life story, and both of which are beautiful. Like it was super informative. And now I'm getting into the meat and potatoes, like in the middle of the book, very slowly. And instead of reading it this morning, I accidentally found one book I've been looking for, which is the Gnostic Gospel of Thomas, Mary, and John. This isn't like an official text or anything. It's just I think somebody just made it, and it's a culmination. I bought it off of Amazon or something, I think, or something. Like I just Googled it and bought it to get these words and get a little bit more of this information just for perspective. So I was comparing the voice of Mary in this and in this, and the scenarios and stuff that she had to kind of deal with. And there's just so much more that's not been said, but the basics of what I think she was coming forward to actually teach was about this, the alchemy of the masculine and feminine energies within the self and within a catalytic in a relationship, I would say, in order to create spiritual growth within each other. And so that concept is it's about the sacred marriage, basically. And if we were all taught these techniques and this information about each other, I would say that we would not be in the position we're in at all, like that we're in at all. It's a totally different world to think about and use your sexual creative energy productively versus without any sort of guidance or support, really, except for maybe telling you laws about what you can't do, which I was just reading a quote in this where Jesus was saying, I do not make laws, basically. And because I'm not a lawmaker. And I just loved that. Some goodies coming through for sure at the end here. And so this morning when I woke up, I was privy to get to see a dragonfly and day lightning. So I opened my curtains and I saw on the horizon or in my yard a dragonfly, which is not really that normal here. And I was like, wow, I miss the little guys. I love the way that they hunt and like kind of bounce along when they fly. And I love dragonflies. Who doesn't? And again, dragon energy. But then right as I'm looking at it in the distance in the backdrop was this lightning that came down. And in the distance with the monsoon that was happening that morning over southern Phoenix and by the border. And I was like, I got to put that in the video. I don't know why, but it feels like dragonfly, day lightning, those were the codes that I brought in. We talked about choosing a better timeline. We talked about the PTSD, the subconscious foresight as well. We talked about, I have a meditation that I'm going to be doing tomorrow with a bunch of women who are also spiritual. I would say they're also psychic mediums, at least the ones that I know are going to be there. And I had a vision the other day, basically that I was going to be sitting in meditation with a lot of very powerful women that I trust in order to kind of heal and reset some of the energies that were so upsetting. And my friend was very receptive to it when I told her about this vision, and she helped me set it up, and we're ready to do it tomorrow at 2:00. So if you're interested, ladies, in joining in that kind of toning, correcting of our auric energy, like container, reach out to me and I might be able to get you in time. But if not, then we'll do another one probably where we can be a little bit more open to our audiences. Her and I haven't done this before. So we're doing it with people we know first, or at least have worked with before first. And then we're going to probably do it more publicly. But I don't think either of us have done anything like this in this life yet, but it's something we're familiar with and is a part of what the priestesses would do to kind of keep each other's spirits up, keep each other energized and secure, I would say, aurically. Transdimensionally, there's been a lot of timeline hopping and a lot of time travel going on, so it's just a moment of grounding. And I'm very excited to do that because I have some, I want to say, not some rifts in my aura, but I have some spots that I feel like I know the medicine is just more feminine energy, and they're nurturing, like that nurturing, whatever that is, beautiful liquid light that they are. I know it because I do it, but to have it towards me and with me and cultivate it as a group for everybody is going to be really nice and reset, I think, some of my nervous system that unconsciously is like animalistically scared and unsure or exhausted, I should say, or depleted on a spiritual level. So that's going to be really nice. So I'm looking forward to that rejuvenating moment. I'm glad I had that vision. I did it already once, and now I'm going to actualize it tomorrow more physically. So it'll be really cool. And yeah, just a final note, when I got my nose, when I got in the car accident, that changed my life basically and was just like inches from dying in a horrible experience. I was rushed to a hospital, and it was called St. Mary's. And this Mary has just been in and all around me a lot and I assume now I know why, because we were in distress as a country, and that's the cosmic mothers coming in more and rising up in people to nurture and support and to keep everybody safe. But I just got a random synchronicity with someone I was watching a YouTube video about that said basically the same thing happened to them when they went to that city for the first time. Is they actually had their appendix explode while they were on the plane there, and were rushed to the same hospital as soon as they landed in St. Louis, and were rushed to the same hospital that I was rushed to for their appendix. And that was both of our first times to the city. But we were both brought with like a trauma that we were barely like living through to this hospital, which was very interesting. So I think just have to put that in there and be like, ooh, that's an interesting thing. And I don't exactly know fully why I was shown that. I'm not exactly sure why, but me and this other person now have that common theme, which is cool. And if I meet them in person, I'll tell them that and be like, yo, fun fact, we got rushed to the same hospital. Fun. But connections like that, like random stuff like that may come up, but play with it and don't disregard all these random coincidences. Start writing them down, start screenshotting them, start treating them like they are truly puzzle pieces and patterns you need to learn from or get some sort of golden light out of, alchemize the wisdom out of. It's going to get weirder. And those are the mysteries that push you beyond the veil. And I've just been saying that over and over. Since I heard that, I was like, oh, that's exactly the sentence. All these mysteries push me beyond the veil. And that's what drives us. And it's in the law of one. That's why kind of the veil was put down, was so we would have the drive to actually do and like solve these mysteries that the veil creates. Like remember why or whatever. Otherwise, if we know everything and we're incarnate, then it's like you don't really strive for much else, it seems like. So there has to be this extra layer put on. So we actually drive and do and create new solutions and do things that we probably would have never even tried and find out new things we maybe didn't even know. And so it's a beautiful part of the process. I'm going to leave you now. This July, we have wrapped up this energy very well. This alchemy that we're all doing to transform the lead of this situation into the golden wisdom that will fortify us and strengthen us and our children to make even better decisions and take on the self-responsibility and the ability to be guardians in themselves to protect from those who are not doing that and their chaotic loss and nutritional deficiencies. So tune into what it is that you need nutritionally that take you to the next level and invigorate your soul and body and honor your ancestors the most next. I think that would be the next good step for this alchemy of this workshop. Thank you again for conjuring your fears and then helping us turn them into positive things. And thank you for choosing the highest and best timeline of world peace and a happy, healthy planet where we are safe and secure and wise. It is a good time. I'm grateful for all of you and your strength. Grateful for all of you younger than me that are striving to know and learn and hear what we've figured out. Take what I tell you and use it for the best you have. I wish that for you. That's my gift as your elder sister and your elder. That's what I truly want to give, something useful so you will slice through the illusion and find the benevolence in all things. And those of you who are older than me and who are my elders, I honor you by striving and working hard to create a safe space for all of us to do our jobs with my able-bodiedness and all the capacities that I have. And I thank you for looking at me and supporting me and helping me grow as well with respect. And if you wish, again, to be a support of this channel and look after me in that sense, I would love to have you on my Patreon as a membership. And that link is in the description of this video, or you can go to patreon.com/Ascension Diaries. You'll find me there. And that's just a little way, but a huge way that I know that I'm being supported. And if you want to do any donations or anything in specific, just let me know. I will show you the way. And if you need anything too, like if you're needing anything, just let me know. If you want a reading with me, go to ascensiondiaries.com or DM me and we'll make a deal and we'll make it work, because I truly love to work. I love to serve. So if you think I can help you, just let me know. I'll make it work for us. I know not everyone's like that, but I'm just leading by example. I would work with someone like me, and that's what I know. I love you guys so much. Thank you for your patience there with the loss of my internet. It just cut. Like, it was weird, but I think it happened in the last couple workshops, so oh well. Thanks, guys. Oh, nice to see you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's an honor. Thanks for letting me talk at you. Onward and upward we go. Bye, guys.